I'm going to call to order the Village of Belleville Planning Commission for Wednesday, August 14th. Roll call. Is Chance online at all, or is he?
I think
He's on. But he's not on.
Okay,
Do you want to roll?
I got roll. Yeah, so Mike Service,
Here.
Gary Ziegler,
Here.
Jeff Larson,
Present.
Jared Wells,
Here.
Larry Enlow,
Here.
Jerry Butts.
Yeah.
All right, we have a quorum.
So next is public participation. Public participation allows citizens to be heard on any agenda and non-agenda item. The public may also comment during the public participation section of each item. The planning commission shall make no decisions or consideration of action of citizen comments for items not on the agenda except to refer the matter to the village staff for administrative consideration or to schedule the matter for planning commission consideration at a later date. Just scan over the agenda quick. This kind of out of order, but I don't, if anybody's here about the development on the south side of town, so I think that was posted on Facebook. And not actually on the agenda, but you're certainly welcome to make comments about that now or frame questions about it. But I don't want anybody to be disappointed if we don't talk about it, because that's literally not on the agenda for this evening.
We'll talk about it at the end. During my presentation.
You will? Okay.
I'll put my name down there. We're gonna talk about
Okay. Anybody else have any non-agenda items that they wanted to talk about? So next we'll do consent agenda. So all items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a commission member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered as a first item after approval of the consent agenda. The only item there is the August 5th Planning Commission meeting minutes.
I'll move you approve the consent.
Second. I have a motion by Gary, seconded by Mike. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Minutes are approved.
it. But I had chances here.
Chance is here. Okay. Hey, Chance. Hi, Chance.
Good evening.
You gotta look that way. Chance, just in time for your chair report, if you would like to give one.
I'm in the interest of keeping this moving tonight. There will be no chair report.
So staff, and if you're okay, Chance, I'll keep going if that's fine with you.
Absolutely, because I'm subject to leave at any time.
So staff and consultant reports. For that end, Baron. Right. So next on the agenda is public hearing. 1989 TR LLC has requested to amend the comprehensive plan future land use map for Baker's Woods Phase 3. For parcel numbers to be changed from rural development to public grounds, two-family residential, single-family, high density in multifamily residential and highway commercial. And I will open the public hearing for comprehensive plan amendment. So I will say what? I now open the public hearing for Baker's Woods Phase 3 to be changed to PG, public grounds, RT, two-family residential, R, single-family, high-density, RM, multifamily residential, BH, highway commercial at 6:04 p.m. And was the hearing publicly noticed or properly noticed?
The public hearing was published in the Post Messenger Recorder on July 11th and 18th. I've included the affidavit of publication, part of the agenda packet. It was also posted at Village Hall, Belleville Public Library, and on the village website on Friday.
Visitors wishing to speak at the public hearing. So this is the time for the public to provide input on the aforementioned topic. After the public hearing closes, the Planning Commission will discuss and potentially take action. We will now take comments from the public, and please wait to be recognized and state your name for the record purposes. Yes, sir.
I'm the petitioner,
Okay.
so I would assume that you, in regular rules, would have me go first.
Sure.
And then other people would comment.
That works.
Well, actually, the regular rules would have some sort of a staff report. I don't know if there is any, or if I should just take over.
I say you take.
We have, I think the staff reports we usually do on the next item when we talked about the resolution afterwards.
Okay. I assume most people are here to look at this or talk about this item, so if it's okay with the chair, I will
Sure.
slide my boards over
You're
there.
fine.
You can see at the end,
Yep.
hopefully. Okay. I just wanted, I don't want to have everybody turning around.
I see them, which we have them.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Lincolnheld. I'm a civil engineer with Arc Design Resources in Oak Park, Illinois. My involvement with the Belleville community started after the development of what would be called Phase 1 of Baker's Woods. We were asked by our longtime client, the current developer, to assist him with, I guess, saving Phase 2 of Baker's Woods, if for lack of a better term. There was just some things not going well between him and the prior developer. I think it was Olson, James Olson, and then their engineer. So we jumped in at that time and helped finish the construction of Phase 2 of Baker's Woods, basically using the other engineers' plans more or less. And then we moved into Bell West subdivision, which was started by Francois Development. They did about 14 lots in Bell West. And the entire subdivision was platted for single family homes. So we kind of took those street alignments and the lots that were handed to us and refined the engineering as best we could from the former development plans in order to start Bell West subdivision, which, as you know, is kind of north of Baker's Woods here. At the same time, our client was involved and we were involved with developing James Avenue from the commercial section where it terminated past the well house halfway into Baker's Woods. And that actually will be completed starting next month or later this month with the completion of Bell West Phase 4. What we're here today to talk about is Baker's Woods Phase 3. This was a project that we came to the Plan Commission with several times in early 2021. I don't know, are any of you guys, were you still on the Plan Commission at that time? Okay. So we had a lot of good Zoom parties, right? Back during COVID days. We presented our development plans at the time and didn't really get to where there was a substantial meeting of what the village wanted to see versus what our client wanted to do. I think we're a lot closer to that point right now. In fact, I think we're so close that the village has initiated some steps to do some public improvements. One of the things that was a sticking point back in the day is that the proposed access point on Highway 92 was dictated as state of Wisconsin saying it has to be here. It can't move. Why is that? Because it's equidistant between Olson Road and that driveway stub that hasn't really been built yet next to the lady. I don't remember I think it's called Edson Street or Edison.
Right behind the chiropractic clinic.
Yeah, there's a single family house there with a driveway and there's a big controversy with that. So that remains unbuilt. Bell West Boulevard comes from Quick Trip partway down the road. I believe that there's some sort of motivation from this developer to connect here and then gain access to Highway 92 through this access point. So the state has said, if we're going to do an access point, we're not going to move it from this location. So that's basically a fixed point. During 2021, there was consternation of, our client was looking to not construct the access. There was, I guess, a lot of support from the neighborhood in general, that they were looking for another access out of the subdivision, Bell West and Baker's Woods. And so we come now today saying, yes, this access point will be built. It's actually going to be built with some TIF money through the village. And we're kind of talking and work together with the village engineer to make that happen. Additionally, we're going to make this happen, this connection to the commercial property, so that they can kind of bypass the controversy at Edison Street, and that there will be another way in and out of the commercial development, the quick trip area, if you want to call it that. And it will open up this rest of this commercial area for, kind of keep going with what they've been doing so far. The only other connection that we have is on James Avenue. This main street right here that runs down the length of the property is actually currently the driveway location of the well house. So to give you some perspective of where that's at, the well house is actually right here, this first lot. These blue lots that you see down here, we're proposing as duplex lots. For these blue lines, these back up to the office part. So it's kind of a good buffer. The brown area would be single family lots in the interior. The purple remains a commercial retail lot. That was a big key for the village to move forward with this. And then the red area here, we're proposing as a multifamily area. Through discussion with the village, they're looking to promote that as another housing choice in Belleville. This big green area that you see kind of connects to an area that was already platted with Baker's Woods, where the culverts come through. So this is already a green belt. We would maintain this area dedicated as a green belt. At the very south end at Highway 92, right behind the corner lot on Olson Road or Olson Avenue, is a drainage way connection. That's part of Baker's Woods. We're not really doing anything to touch that. So we've got a sizable buffer. These are those, I don't know what, if you want to call them the little private roadway development in here that Jim Olson built. They back up to the buffer zone, and then a few houses on Torrey Drive back up to the buffer zone. Just kind of pushing that out. And then we actually have a location here coming around this curve where we don't build any houses just because of the proximity to the lowland. I'm just going to keep going through the tentative plat, unless you want to parse this all out into.
Objections from.
So again, objections.
The tentative plat, it basically shows the same thing as the roads or as the color map, but it's got the roadways on it. So we've got the one road connection at James Avenue, kind of coming off of the commercial section right next to the well house. That street comes down, it ties into Bell West Avenue, Bell West Boulevard, Bell West. Here's Edison Street. You can see it on this map. And so, like I said, this location dictated by the state. We have a townhome development, kind of a.
Is it Tyler Court? Is that where that drive off of 69, right on the bottom here?
Yes.
So is that where the current driveway is? There's
two there. I think, yeah, I will gladly, we can interact, but I guess maybe proper thing would be that everybody.
Okay,
starts
we're
asking
just,
questions.
because of the
Yes.
people here, we're just trying to get a
So
perspective.
there's an old house right here. There's an old house and there's a road right there. There's another driveway over in this zone that used to snake up into the neighborhood.
Mhm.
And so that's the area where the state is saying that's where we have to have our access.
Okay, okay.
It's very near where that private driveway is. I can't tell you that it's exact.
Yeah.
So the multifamily section that we're proposing is not necessarily a traditional apartment building, but it's townhome style, where we have a single car garage. Everybody has their own unit, so there's nobody like above you, like Bigfoot stomping on the ceiling. So everybody's side by side. They have their own unit. They have their own private driveway. They have their own private garage space, and then a little deck or patio off the back. So these in here would all be just a private driveway thing, no city streets. And then the main street kind of comes in off of the highway, and then would loop around through some of the single family neighborhood. Up at the north, we are proposing our stormwater management area adjacent to the lowlands. This is next to some of this main street. So there's really only houses on one side of the street, just south of the well house. And then as we had kind of gone down the path in 2021, we are proposing to grade out an area that the village could use at a later date for a small playground, a shelter, some other access to this green belt, which I'm under the understanding that the village is looking long-term, but kind of do some sort of a loop all the way up to the Sugar River based on all the property you've acquired through the course of these donations. So that's kind of my spiel at this point. Mr. Chair, normally the committee would ask me questions directly, and then you would open it up to the audience
I
for.
think we usually do it the opposite, where we have public comment first and then the committee asks
Okay,
questions.
that sounds good.
Usually the way we're doing it.
I'll take a seat.
If people have comments or questions. Sorry?
I have questions for you.
Okay.
Do you want this to be like a interaction thing? Do you want, I don't,
Yeah.
I guess,
I
as long as,
make a suggestion that we're technically in a public hearing section right now. So what we're looking for are comments for or opposed, and questions and stuff can be reserved when we get to the line items for the resolution and the.
I'll write down what's happening, and so if I can address all of them, I can.
I do have a question, but according to Mayor Spiel, I can't ask it.
You can make a comment.
Right.
Anybody else have a comment they would like to make? Yes, sir.
Gary Valdes, 2-1 Bond. I guess I was curious, what is defined by public lands? When I look at the map, I'm trying to get a sense for the green space, the trees that exist, and what may or may not remain after the development.
Relative to from all the way from James all the way down, basically. Yeah.
Maybe it'd just be better if we just take them all, and that way, yeah,
That's fine.
all right. So we can go back to that lady in the front room next.
I'll let answer the fellow's question.
Okay, that's the primary issue that a lot of these people.
Okay, what we're defining as green space is land that we want to give to the village and not touch. So it comes out at this culvert, it starts at this culvert on James, it winds its way through. I know that there's pretty heavy woods behind these houses on Torrey. I can tell you that this strip is pretty much open.
Yes.
Right? From behind the well house down here. So this first block is pretty much open. Then there's a grouping of trees in this second area. I can't move this. So this road would be in the trees. This road would be in the open area on the west. This area here is. Not sure how many of you guys live in this little development here. But I don't know what's right behind your lot, or at least 250 feet would be, we don't really care. We just leave it alone. We're not developing that. We're not touching that. We're starting on the opposite side.
What do you think about the trees that are there on the end of it? I guess it's.
So,
dangerous.
I mean, obviously that if we're going to build a road through the trees, we're going to take the trees.
Where's that, means that road going in correlation to where the end of the trees are from the east side, where the trees are from the east side, do you have that on your map?
I don't have that on my map. But I'm just.
I guess the biggest concern.
The trees are wider than the open space. Are we agreeing to that?
You're the engineer, so I would think that.
Okay, so we have an open space here. We have some, if we can count the same thing here, I'm sure the trees get into this buffer. but I don't know how far over they go.
I mean, a lot of that's, are like we did that second, or third, the most eastern house, a lot of that is, borderline. I don't imagine the wetland area, is it?
Mhm.
Where's wetland delineation?
The wetland delineation is this line, right? There's a line right here.
You can't touch
We
within
can't.
75 feet of that?
Right. We have a no build, no structure zone, and we have a buffer zone that we can't touch. Basically, we're not, that's why there's like no lots in here because it gets too close.
But wherever the wetland delineation line is, facing 75 feet, you can't touch any trees or anything in the correct.
We can't build a structure within 75
Can you
feet.
touch the trees though, within the
We
75 feet?
we cannot touch the trees within 30 feet of the wetland. And then we've got like another 20 feet or so to the backs of the lots. So it's like 50 feet from the wetland edge.
I think what would be helpful is we know where those trees are and how many trees would be staying.
Okay. I don't have that answer for you tonight.
Right, but, hi, my name's Kathy Berman, and I do live right behind there that you were talking about. Would it be possible for the developer to submit a tree preservation plan prior to final plat recording so that the board can approve or disapprove of the plan for the trees there? I've seen that work before. We had that happen in Madison and it worked out really well.
I can guarantee you tonight that I'm saying whatever lots we intend to develop, I can't say how many trees would or wouldn't be removed on each lot. So, I mean, worst case scenario, you could say, hey, they're gonna remove all the trees on every lot that they build. So what I can tell you is anything in the green area, I'm not proposing to touch other than the detention and the park if the village wants to move forward with the park area.
Well, I think we're concerned, we live on the other side of that green space, right, we're on the green space. So what are we gonna see? I think we're concerned that whatever.
I mean, if this is your area right here, there's the detention pond, right? And then your house is back up south of the detention pond? So, or was there a buffer lot? That's maybe a question I have for you all. So if this is the pond, is there houses here next to the pond or?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so you got houses. Okay, so whatever's between you and your new neighbor would be 250 to 300 feet of open space. This area here where the street is at would be actually bigger. So
How deep are those lots are in the eastern?
these are like 120 feet.
So technically, those are in the exit houses.
They're not in the wetland area. They're the very
They're
back.
within 75 feet.
They're
of the wetland area.
the very backs of their yards, the last 20 feet or so are in the 75-foot no structure. So that means that they would be prohibited from putting a shed up there. Their house is going to be well up above. Their house is not an issue. But there's a setback for building any structures from a wetland 75 feet. So some of these lots here right at the end, as the wetland curves away, these houses have like a no build area right in the back.
So if you say the lots are 120 feet deep, how many feet does that leave a tree line space behind that? To the prairie or the open, whatever you want to call it, field?
Well, what I can tell you is there's, let's say double that, if I just, both two lots here, so let's say 240 feet roughly space. I don't know the division between a tree line and or a prairie that's right behind your.
So you're just saying it's 240 feet from their
From the back
lot,
of your house,
from the end of their lot to our lot line?
yes.
You have it measured out what that.
I don't want to say, I don't know what the exact measurement is. I don't want to tell you it's 200 feet and then you say, oh, no, it's 150 feet. Like I'm just telling you that somewhere in here there's a tree line and you have the prairie behind you that I'm sure is Mother Nature is starting to grow trees in herself. Well, it will.
Lots of thistles.
I had my
Is there a way to show where the trees would, what you guys would and would not disturb? I mean, obviously you have to come back to another meeting, but would there be a way to show that, just so that, we have some type of.
Well, I regret
opportunity
not
to know
having
what-
an aerial photo underneath this right
Yeah.
now because I don't really want to come back, but, yeah, again, I mean,
Because that's our main concern.
yeah, I understand your concern. I guess. Like I said, we've got this no build area on the back of these lots. We've got no lots here. I mean, I can't really tell you. It's like,
It didn't have to be because of the
Yeah.
wetlands, it's set.
Yeah. yeah, but some of that is trees too. So there's,
Can you put a park in somewhere or not? Because I mean, the park that you're donating or giving,
we were doing the parkland up here.
how many acres is that park proposed?
Well, this total area is 8 acres plus this like 2.5 or 2 acres here. So 10 acres of buffer, if you want to call it. Our park area itself is only about a 1/4 acre for playground / gazebo.
So basically a 1/4 acre of non-wetland areas that you're donating.
Well, there's more area on the buffer of the wetland. So we're donating a lot of wetland if that's where, but people like wetland too. Yeah.
Excuse me, can I say something? First of all, I'd like to know, those homes that have, where they can't build anything on it, can you leave the trees on those lots? Instead of knocking them down because that is the lot? My first question. My second question is, if you're gonna have a park, there's a lot of kids over in that neighborhood, and a little tiny park is not gonna cut it. You need something more than a little park. I know I'm very grateful of you donating the land, but there's a lot of kids over there. And then once you get those homes filled up, there's even more kids. And there's no parks over there whatsoever.
So
They have $200,000
There is a-
that they can spend, this is what I was told by the village, that they can spend for a park. $250,000 is not for
I can address that. The village is building a park, neighborhood park, on their phase 4 property. And it'll be, in my presentation at the end, I will be showing you where that park is coming.
Is
But
it
there is going to be a park.
a sizable park, not a tot park, but something where teenagers could go play ball in or basketball?
We haven't designed it yet, but it's at least 2 lots and then it goes into all of our back spot.
Mhm.
2 lots is what we're purchasing from them. And then, but it also it backs up to our entire back lot. So Maren.
Yeah, Vanna. So we're talking, and this is not the scale, so I don't remember exactly what the, it's like these two, somewhere right here, and then it back to this green space, so we can go that way. So it'll 2 lots to the street, and then the park can expand into this green area, which is our land.
So you can expand the park.
Yes.
Yes.
We'll probably start small.
That's north of James, right?
So this is James here, and it actually ends, this is Brett Street, actually ends right here. Olson Avenue is here. They will be building Carolina Street, which will connect to Colt Drive.
They started grading it out already.
Yep. And so actually right where Sarah Street comes out is where the 2 lots are that we're purchasing. Like I said, this is not scale, this is not here. And then our land backs out this way, so
The woods there.
in that woods area.
Where the start of that woods area is.
So you're starting a park there and you will continue building on it or?
Yeah, it'll be phased out and we just started the Parks Committee, just started conversations on what that would look like. So if you want to have input on that, I'd say come to Parks Committee. They'll be the ones designing.
Let me ask you a last question though. What does the park be per house that's built in this village?
So that's a 2-part question.
End of those parts.
So there's a fee in lieu of park dedication. And then there's an impact fee. The fee in lieu of parkland dedication is if a developer comes in and we have an ordinance that states,
Speak up, please.
I don't know if I can. So there are 2, I guess, relative park fees when it comes to subdivision and development. The first is a fee in lieu of parkland dedication. Whereas if we have it in our subdivision ordinance that every new development or every new subdivision is to give 1 acre of parkland for every 15 new units, not lots, but units. residential units built. And so for that particular, we worked it out beforehand, it'd be 5.2 acres. And this one qualifies. If for some reason a subdivision doesn't have enough land total, or if it's very high density, or if it reaches the threshold of, and that we have an ordinance of, you know, that dedication being greater than 1/3 of the total plat, then they would work out with the board how many acres would qualify for the fee in lieu of. And that one is $1,800. We just did the park impact fee, which is entirely project-based. And the fee is set to have new development pay for improvements to parkland to service those new residents. So it doesn't take into account any projects to upgrade existing for current residents, only to add capacity for new residents. And that one, I don't have it pulled up at this second, but I think it's $1,057.56. If not, the 50s are switched in my head, but that's what the park impact fee is, and that's for every lot. So.
Another fast question. Are you gonna have maybe a path that people can ride their bikes on, walk on for your development that you're doing over here, or?
We're gonna have public sidewalks.
To that development? Or what about that development to town? You know, and I'm gonna say I'm sorry, kind of getting this up in front of you with question. I'm gonna say though, I had a husband with Alzheimer's, who many of you know it's recently passed. And to walk him from where we are now to town, you have to walk the highway. So I had to ask JP and Andres if we could cut through their yard for safety reasons. So we're building these communities, we're building parks, we want families out there. But how are those families going to be able to access everything in town? With the safe, you can't ride a bike to that M69, let's face it. You just can't.
Schools.
Especially when we get.
Right.
down to-
But is there any thought of what we're going to do about that?
We are working on a safe routes to school plan, but I think this is the public comment period, and I know we aren't following proper procedure. I think people need to state their name, come to the podium, state their question,
Great, I'll come to the podium.
but like, I think it's just make us a little bit more structured and then sit down and come back. Jeff can answer any questions and then.
The lady in the front.
Thank you. Connie Erford. I have a question and then I have a comment. Did you donate land for a park? Did we not take that money and use it elsewhere?
We did not, we haven't donated any land for a park to this point. But as I said at the beginning of the presentation, I inherited everything that was previously platted in Baker's Woods. So whatever Jim Olson had worked the deal with the village back in 2018 or whatever, I'm not privy to. And likewise with Francois, he had donated a bunch of the Sugar River frontage with his plat development. All we did was came in, the lots were already platted. There was no roads or anything to them. So we built streets within the platted public.
Okay, and my comment is Baker's Woods going to have any woods anymore? I mean, I'm sorry, it's called Baker's Woods. I brought this up a zillion times. And you're just plowing them over. And it's like, you know, guys, we have to have trees. And why can't you build around a tree here or there? Why does it have to be plowed over? Why can't Baker's Woods keep some woods? I think you've got to think about that. Down the road, this little guy's gonna come and he's gonna come after you guys because you're taking all our air. I think he's the Lorax. You ever watched that show? You better watch it.
I remember Spaceballs and they had cans of air. Yes.
Okay, Lori Lazarski, do you want me to go to the podium? Okay, my question. Hi, Jeff. Gary. What are we going to do about the ability to get from these subdivisions to Belleville? Like I said, I couldn't even take my husband along that highway with guidance. how do we expect children? We have a beautiful community park, we have a beautiful sewer park. But none of these people can access it within safety reasons. So have we thought about that part of this development?
We are working on a Safe Routes to School project, so that's with the coordination with the school, DOT, police, to figure out how we can do that. So we have an engineering firm that we got a grant for to be able to figure out how to map all of that out. And then the school district and us will be partnering to figure out how to get kids from the west side over to the school district. So we're currently working on that process right now.
How long do we think a process like that is going to take?
So I know the engineers, I'm meeting with them to start that scope week, I think, or earlier, late this week. They will be doing, I think, about a 5 to 6 month study of traffic flows, walking, how are people doing it now? Because a lot of that is also people build their own trails. So is there something that we can do with how people are naturally walking? They're gonna be looking at that. They're gonna be watching and seeing how kids flow normally and seeing how we can build from there. So, and then in the next year's budget, we will be hopefully able to budget to be able to put sidewalk or whatever that looks like, a path under the street, over the street. Who knows? But a lot of it is a DOT highway too. It's not our road.
Right.
We don't have the authority over it. And so that's why the DOT has to be involved in this as much as we do, because it's theirs. It's their right of way.
Well, I just hope it's a priority because I don't want to see a child on the
No.
front page because they got hit by a car. And one more quick question. What about the sewer impact? If you said this earlier.
This is so this, we have about 50% of our capacity at our treatment plant right now. So this development and the ones that I'll talk about now should not have an impact on our sewer line. And they pay for the infrastructure for water, for sewer, for streets, for sidewalks. That is their job to do. So the village taxpayer is not going to be impacted by the infrastructure placement of it. But we do have impact fees, so they pay a fee to impact. So like when they connect, it's a connection fee, there's an impact fee and all of that for new development. And plus they have to put it in. We don't put it in.
Okay, and if there's no reason to take down trees, do you have to?
No.
And you won't? If there's no reason, I just.
It just costs us money to take down trees, and then we can't really burn them anymore, so we have to haul them off or have them wood chipped or whatever. So, yeah,
Okay.
there's no impetus for us to willy-nilly tear down everything.
Right.
Say what we can. The problem with some of the houses in Bell West was that there was, they were these tall pine trees, and once you started, nipping around the edges, the few in the middle had a tendency to fall. And I experienced that myself up at my cabin up north.
Mhm.
You got the one Lone Ranger there, and big windstorm comes, and then you got.
I just think Madison does a better job at preserving trees than we do in a big city.
I'm gonna go to this lady here because she was the first one who wanted to answer a question.
Thank you. And I'm going to change the subject completely. I'm going to go down to that multi-housing that is going to face 92. First off, how many units do you plan to put in there that are, is it tri-level, bi-level?
They are 2-story townhomes, so
They're going to stand side by side?
yeah, kind of smashed together.
Correct. So how many units are there going to be?
I will tell you exactly. 27.
27 of them are going to fit that spot?
Yep.
Okay. Now, I assume the garages are underneath?
On the first floor, yeah,
Okay, because I was going to say,
not on the
7
second.
units, and most people have 3 cars or at least 2.
These are fairly small units. They're 2-bedroom.
They're all 2-bedroom?
So they're 2-bedroom. They have a 1-car garage. They have a living area and a kitchen downstairs, and then they have the 2 bedrooms upstairs. So one could imagine maybe, and they're not that super big. So one could imagine a single person that likes to, works remote, maybe likes to live in Belleville, but has a job in Milwaukee, who knows? So they could have like a home office in their bedroom. It's not we're not proposing like massive condo units.
Okay. And these,
But they are nicer than a straight apartment.
okay. And these are going to be at market value or is this,
Yes.
okay.
And I will also say, I don't know if, I think they're rentals right now.
All right.
I don't, sometimes people say like, well, what, would you sell them? And I think they would if there was a demand for condos, but I don't know that the demand exists. I think the demand for apartment.
All right. Last and final question is what will the folks coming down 92 going west see? On the backside? Are they gonna all face toward 92? Or are they going to be, yeah, like that whole row?
These buildings back up to 92. So these are the backyards. with the
Okay, so
driveways that-
backyards.
And then the driveways are in the middle, and then these are backyards here. I guess, if you were looking at these, they'd be backyards, and then you'd see these as backyards next to the single family.
Okay, so
So
they're like,
really, there's not like a lot of area where you're gonna see like a garage full of crap.
okay, because
Green space.
that reminds me of, where the alley is in between, never in front, like a normal street.
These would have the front door in the front. The back would just be their back patio.
All right, that's my questions. Thank you.
A quick question.
Remember to-
When you're down in-
Wait, Gary,
Yeah, sorry, Gary Berman.
come to the podium.
And it's not, I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but the clerk has to keep minutes and keep track of everybody who speaks.
I'm just wondering when you're done and it's all finished and everything is occupied, what would you guess is the population of this project? How many people are we adding to the area?
We said there was 75 units, right? Roughly, Ian?
78,
78, what's the average? Three per
a
household?
little less than 2.5, actually.
Okay, so 200 people?
Okay, I was just curious. Thanks.
100.
This lady had a question here in the front.
Hi, Kathy Berman. I actually have a question for the planning commission, but I don't know who to address because I'm relatively new to Belleville.
All of them.
All of it, everybody, okay. So I brought this up earlier, but it's not unusual for a planning commission to request that a developer submit a tree preservation plan. And I understand the gentleman doesn't want to return here more than he needs to, and I don't think he would have to. If we got a drone and, did a flyby and you get the pictures and you submit the data back to the planning commission, and it's up to you guys then to decide, is this enough? Is this what we want? And I think, like I said, I've seen it work really well at a couple subdivisions in Madison. So, and it's not unusual. So I would just ask the planning commission if you would consider that.
I'm gonna sit because I have a bad knee.
Where you made a mistake.
I'm Cindy O'Connor. Okay, so can you present an overlay for us so we can, it's hard to visualize this because we live on that last street on the condos where we have the green space and the trees. It's hard for us to visualize what that's gonna look like without knowing how, there should be a way to show us how many trees are gonna be taken down or left.
Yes, there is. I guess I just don't want to give any misinformation tonight that's why I'm just reluctant to just throw a dart at this.
So
right?
that's something you can come back with?
Well, yeah, I could, but and if the plan commission says that we won't approve this without it, great. But I guess I'm going back to, I'm saying we're not gonna touch anything that's green. Other than our detention and our park up here, which is quite a ways away, and I think most of you guys must be living here, and so your concern is down here. So all I can guarantee you tonight is that I'm giving away this green area, and whatever trees and nature are in there, I'm have at it. You can keep it. It's all good. It won't change a bit. But I can't stand here and say, oh, I'm gonna save all the trees on Tyler Court because I'm just not, I just can't. And I can't save the trees where I'm gonna build a house. I'm just reluctant to get into that. I can guarantee you the green space. We aren't cutting any trees out. That's what I can guarantee tonight.
I mean, this comment's more for the planning commission than Jeff is. I mean, I think it would be of you to ask him, so the people who are buying Court and Deland Terrace have an idea of what trees are gonna be there, what aren't gonna be there, where the houses will start, and what that, wetland delineation, one point that he did make, which is a good point. And you can't take all the trees down because, a lot of them don't have a root system to stand up, but those, all these trees that are right here are all on the outside. They do have good root systems and shouldn't be taken down because they've probably stood the test of time already, but I think for the planning commission, it would be nice. So we could see exactly what's gonna be left and not left for that matter. I don't think that's too much to ask.
Oh, there's a bug. Coming towards you, Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
Right by your foot.
Jimmy, have another question?
Oh, it's enough.
I don't, I'm at the risk of saying, like, offending many of you here in the audience, I guess I just don't want to say like, well, we can talk about saving the trees and all this, and I'm presenting the plan that I think is good and workable, but there's really nothing that says the guy who owns the land can't come and sell all the stuff for lumber either at some point, right? So, I mean, by giving away the buffer, we are ensuring that a portion of this stays, and whatever is left that you, from the backside of your development that was cut out, starts to regrow as new forest.
Well, nice to see the wildlife back there, but they won't do that.
I mean,
So I guess I'm just making a statement that, we can go down the path of like, we gotta save everything. But it doesn't mean that he can't come in tomorrow with a bunch of chainsaws and say, I just sold all these for telephone poles. That's the reality of it.
Make a tree preservation.
My name's John Colson. I live on Bonnie Lane in the next to the green. And I'd like to follow up on what she was saying about parking in the multifamily. Is there any provision for outside parking? You say there's going to be a one-car garage with each unit. Is there any provision for people to park other than in their garage?
Currently, we have a one-car garage and a driveway outside for parking two, so two cars.
So nothing on the street?
No, nothing. These are private roads in here, private driveways, so we don't have any provisions for supplemental parking at this time. We're not encouraging that type of a development either, where we want to.
Visitors.
Are they gonna have guests? They're gonna have holiday, they're gonna have something.
Yeah, I've seen this happen before, where development happens without adequate provision for parking, and it turns into a mess.
Okay. We'll be happy to,
I think
whatever the
commission wants a mess.
whatever the village code says that we need to require for parking, if it means we have to add a couple of remote parking stalls, we'll add them.
I just have a comment actually for the planning commission. I think this thing is a little half-baked still. There are a lot of questions that people have and deserve some answers to. The idea of where the trees now stop, because behind the houses where I live is basically just a vacant lot. It goes up to the tree line. And we want to know how much beyond that tree line is still going to be trees. And I think you could provide that information. So I think it should be required.
Or is part of those trees part of the wetland too? I mean, does wetland end right at?
According to that diagram. Well, I can't tell. I don't know where the trees are. So that's why I think a little more information.
What you're donating, does it end right at the trees?
No, it goes to the back of your yard.
Correct, but I'm saying on the tree line side. Is it just to the back of our yard to the tree line?
No. I see what you're saying. like I said, the tree line is somewhere in here. I don't know how, I don't know how.
Okay.
And regarding Lori's comments about how people who live out here, including ourselves, get into town, I think that's a pretty important consideration. And it may just be that the planning commission should pause this until you know more about that. Because there's gonna be, I don't know how many hundreds of people living there. They're gonna wanna get into town and there isn't a bus. So they're either ending that their parents drive them into town or they're walking or riding a bicycle. And that is, it's unsafe right now for little kids to ride along Highway 69, 92. So I would urge the planning commission to consider those needed pieces of information. Hold off on any recommendations to the village board until that information is provided. Thank you very much.
Yes, I put up the map there, so the aerial. It obviously doesn't have
So
potential lot lines in there or new streets, right?
you know, zoom out a little. So this, I know from working on this thing for 4 years, trying to come up with a plan that was viable, that let's just say these two streets are basically in about the same spot as I've got shown. So if you put a lot behind them, you got about halfway, you got a lot, and then you got about another lot's worth of trees, and then you've got a lot's worth of open space where you guys. So if we want to say we're gonna keep 120 feet, I'd be happy with saying that. It'd be a 120-foot tree buffer and then the lot, and then. So if that's close enough.
I mean, where's the wetland delineation, anything on that? Because I mean, it's not like you can't do anything in the wetland.
I can't do anything in the wetland anyways, but I don't know if this GIS has wetland capability. It might.
Floodway.
So instead of being wishy-washy, I'm happy to say 100, 120 feet of trees, which is, you know, at least as deep as what your lot is right now.
That's the wetlands on there.
That's not great. Well, that's not right, because like a lot of it is wet. That's, yeah, that's inaccurate.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we can resolve that. We know that this first street is pretty much all open. And we know that the trees maybe go halfway over.
Special.
Chris Owen, 215 Bowen Terrace. I'm also passionate about the trees, but I'm going to give you a break. Can you tell me what's the highest density housing that's going to occur in this phase 3?
Well, the highest density is these 27 units down here in this multifamily lot, which, you would think that I would have the actual lots of them. 1,000 square feet, and a half, 2.5 acres. So 10 per acre in this spot. The rest of these are basically 1/4 acre lots.
So that's how many individual units roughly?
In this?
Yeah.
This is 27 units.
27 units.
And I'll make a sidebar. We had, the village is encouraging us to get as many units as we can.
Okay.
I think it's originally planted as commercial. Ideally, commercial is what you want away. I think what the planning commission proposed is if you're proposing a change, put as much on there as possible.
So is this going to be individually owned units or is it going to be managed by a rental company, a leasing company?
At this point, let's say that it's one lot development managed by a company.
Okay.
And it's apartment or I wouldn't say apartment, it's rental units. rental
Okay.
houses.
Retired 28 years law enforcement. I spent a good chunk of that policing Section 8 housing on the north side of Denver. That's not the plan, right? Section 8 is never the plan, but sometimes it happens if it goes poorly. And I will tell you, this is a great little town, but it will be ruined if we get Section 8 housing in here. That's my experience from 28 years of law enforcement. There are tremendous challenges that come with Section 8 housing. We have no public transportation to get these people up to Madison, which means they'll be here. Okay. Let's be very careful with high density housing because we can ruin a community with it. And we have a little itty bitty law enforcement agency here who is not experienced or equipped for it. Okay. Thank you.
We have a similar development in Lake Mills, Wisconsin. That's east of Madison. He's got 6 buildings, 23 units, and he's renting them out for $1,800 a month. So hardly Section 8.
But if they can't be rented, they can be converted to section. Correct?
Yes, yeah, that's the way it was.
Section 8 fees $1,950, not 3 bedrooms, so it's still within the range.
It's a risk is my point.
How long are those driveways gonna be?
25 feet roughly, enough to fit a car in front of the garage.
Can I ask one more quick question? I'll be nice.
Everybody's been nice, so I've had work.
I get a little sassy sometimes. School impact. I'm hoping these developments are taken into consideration because well, I have 2 children that one's the nurse and one's a teacher up there. And right now, kindergarten, I had a child in kindergarten, a grandchild, grandchild in kindergarten last year with 3 teachers. Kindergarten this year, 5 teachers. It's increasing. Like my daughter says, pretty soon they're going to have to start renting trailers and have classrooms and trailers, which I've seen that happen in Wisconsin Dells before. Yeah, and it's a disaster. So with all this community being built, which we're hoping it's families, the impact is going to hit us.
Yep, and I have been, Nate and I warned, I'll talk a little bit about it.
Okay.
And I have monthly standing meetings with the new superintendent, and he and I have walked through all of this together. And so they are aware of that. I know the school board is discussing things as well. So the superintendent is fully aware of what's kind of going on. So
Now, does the school district own the soccer fields and the farmland?
They do.
All of it they own. Okay.
Just a comment, we're talking about, did you say 200 families over there?
People.
Okay, 200 people maybe over there. When you're talking about the sewer system and the school system, we're gonna have 1,100 new homes coming here.
this is part of that.
We're gonna have to build stuff.
I'm thinking your townhomes are going to attract epic people.
Like really cool people?
Well, the epic, you know, those are the kind of places they're looking for, just, you know, somewhere to live.
Yeah, I've been there to a seminar, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you guys are too tired after all this, I am going through all of our current, future, and ongoing developments after this at the end. So unless you all are too tired and want to leave. But I'd say stick around because I am talking about that. And we do have an 81 unit development. Okay. So.
I think it'd be great if we had Epic employees there. You know, the duplex units over here. No offense, I'm part of your demographic, I'm approaching that. So, you know, I think a lot of people kind of like your age would be in this duplex area. So that leaves the 25 homes here, which are basically, you know, an extension of whatever's kind of the current.
I guess I got one last question. I don't know if you can answer it. My name is Nancy Lindau. What about taxes? Our taxes here are extremely high. And
Going up.
with all these homes coming in, they're gonna be paying taxes. So is there even a possible chance that our taxes might come down a little bit? Even though we're probably gonna have to build a school for all these new kids that are coming into the community? Have you thought about what the impact of taxes would be on your citizens?
But we only control a portion of the tax agency. There's the MATC, Technical College, there's the county, there's the school district, and then there's us. And if the state ever decides they want to do tax again, they could do that. But there's us. So we're only 1/4, and it's not exactly 1/4 in the tax bill. And so controlling what we can control, I can't tell you school district where we on. They went down 20% this past year from where they had previously been, but my understanding is it's likely going to have to raise again. MATC and the county stay, a relatively constant but low growth rate. And the village, we have a revaluation coming up, which should lower the mill rate. But that's only because the assessed value of a lot of the older stock of homes and buildings will probably increase. And so it's too early to tell how that's going to shake out yet. But I mean, as a whole, we're hoping, at least on a staff level, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we're hoping to kind of level out and go kind of what for the county and MATC have, which is low, steady growth, just to keep up with just basic increases like COLA and stuff like that.
How soon is the reassessment?
It's going to be 26.
Because our little condos.
Yeah, I really don't.
More than taxes than Jeff Larson's Baker's Wood house.
Yeah,
so
I don't really see a whole lot changing just because of the nature of how new that area is as comparison to the rest of the village. So I don't really see it changing very much. I mean, we'll see. Dane County has averaged like 12% increase in assessed values every year for the past, I don't even know how many years. So there's a possibility, but it most likely will affect that area.
I'll challenge anybody to a beer at J&M after the meeting that my taxes in Illinois beat your taxes.
I moved from Illinois.
I bet you your house is bigger than ours.
I didn't say that.
1,600 square feet.
Even though it's true that Village of Belleville doesn't have much ability to impact or to control our taxes and lower them. What you do here is going to add kids to the schools, add to the need for cops, firefighters. It's going to add to the need for much more infrastructure in the village, which is going to make our taxes go up. So I just wanted to point that out.
So, obviously, all of these are right on. One of the things that I would recommend is I do this, try to do it frequently, but I want to do it a little bit more frequently. It's kind of coffee with the administrator or stuff like that. Is I want to have office hours, and my card is right up there too. Come talk to me, come call me, let's talk, let's walk through things. We have financial management plans that go out to the next 5 years on things and growth rates and how that impacts the water, sewer, wastewater parks, all of that. I'd be happy to walk that through with anybody, kind of walk through what's going on. So probably not this moment in time, but like set a meeting, let's call, let's talk. We can go get coffee, we can do whatever you guys want. We can meet from here and I show everything to you and overwhelm you completely with data. But I'd say if you have any questions, don't ever hesitate to reach out to me. I'm available, I'm here. Happy to talk, I'm here 70 hours a week. So don't hesitate to reach out. Happy to answer anything that you may have.
Comment on just your last spiel. Instead of doing it on one-on-one, a group like this.
Happy to. Yep, that's why I had the coffee with the administrator last week. I had 6 people come in, ask questions about development. Loved it. I'd love to see more people. So if there was more images, we can put it over at Village Hall. Like, I want to be able to make sure you guys have the answers you may not need. You may not like the answers, but at least you understand where the answers are coming from and what it is. That is my hope always, is that you understand what's going on. You may not necessarily love it, but you truly understand and get why that decision was made. That's my hope. But again, I work with the board, so.
Okay, now you represent the Village of Belleville, right?
I work on behalf of the village board. The village board hires me to run the day-to-day stuff. So I do what the village board directs.
No, you do. Okay, now, the engineers that laid all this out represents them. Do they have someone that comes in here with them he represents?
That's him.
That's him. Okay.
This development.
In this development, but in other developments, it is.
So-
Actually have someone that actually comes in and does what you're doing?
Yep, so Jeff,
Oh, you don't represent nobody, you just.
I represent the village of Belleville. I work for the village, yep.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep, so their developers are the ones that are developing some of the other stuff that we'll talk about in my presentation later, but it'll probably be Jeff in back. Then say that.
I have one last question too. It's a green space behind us now. Is that
Yeah.
Petrie?
According to the GIS map, yep, that is.
So he needs to start mowing that and not keeping that done?
Yeah, that would be Jeff Petrie, and then Jim Olson owns the commercial between 69 and Olson. And then the grass space kind of west of
What's the current zone?
Joanna. That is all Petrie.
But what's the
We
current?
got a couple older gentlemen do it, so we'll just, when it gets to the point where we can, they'll have to mow it or what.
What did you say? You're donating it back to the village? That green space?
Yeah, but when?
So then you're responsible.
Yep.
Hey, and Gabe, we all here have an amazing plan that live on that last row. We're not gonna talk about it tonight. We have an amazing plan for that. We think you'll love.
Love it. Let's do it.
Yes, we do.
Donnie.
We do.
It's not,
Mr. Chair, can we,
Yeah.
are we?
I think so,
way
yeah,
past the-
Yeah, exactly. So, are there any other comments?
Jerry Maddox, 205 Bowen. I've got a question about the public grounds area. This is more for the village than the developer. The south half of that public grounds area was a former cornfield. And last year it produced one of the most fantastic crops of thistle and cocklebur and multiflora rose and other noxious weeds. So now, if this is public grounds, who is going to be responsible to maintain that or mow it? Would.
Guy behind you?
It won't be me. It might be. It may be, hopefully, but it'll be staff.
Okay.
If it comes into the village.
Yes.
Tell them it's not our responsibility.
Until then, until it is deeded to us, no, but once it's deeded to us, that's my fun.
All right, good. I'll write that down.
Do it.
Thank you.
I'll sign it.
Are there any other comments?
if I can, I'm sorry, if you've made a comment today, will you please make sure you've signed in on the sheet when you leave so that otherwise I hold no responsibility if I misspell your name. Thank you.
When is your next coffee with the administrator?
I just had one last week. I'm happy to do one tomorrow, probably not tomorrow, but I'm happy to do one whenever. So if there's a lot of interest, we can do one the week after.
That was his way of asking for coffee.
No, I'm not asking you for coffee. I can buy.
You, that's.
But yes, we can absolutely do it. I'll put something out next week. We can get something scheduled. And my card's right over there on the top of that desk, so.
You say put something out.
Probably on social media, or announced at the village board meetings, kind of give people a little bit of heads up. I didn't give a ton of heads up at the last one. So my goal was probably a week and a half heads up, or 2 weeks.
3 weeks.
Just a comment to the crowd. It is so nice to see all you people here. I hope you start coming to the village board meetings also.
You're right.
Learn to
Thank you.
You're right. And thank you for restoring.
When are the meetings?
First and third Mondays of the month at 6 p.m. You can attend either virtually or online or in person.
First and third?
First and third Mondays of the month at 6 o'clock.
We're doing the budget.
Minus holidays in which we have it on the Tuesday after.
Or elections.
Well, no, we hold them.
Are there any other comments relative to the topic? Are there any other comments? Are there any other comments? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing on the comprehensive plan amendment at 7:09 p.m. So next, discuss and consider approval of the resolution 2024-03 approving an amendment to the comprehensive plan for the village of Belleville.
Everybody should have a new version of the resolution at your desks. We just had to add a date, change the year on today's date.
This is Corey Anderson, General Engineering Company, the zoning administrator for the Village of Belleville. If I may just jump in. So the comprehensive plan changes the future land use map that's in your comprehensive plan. This subdivision or proposal and the zoning and the layout has been, as Jeff said, they've been in front of the Planning Commission for approximately 3 years now. And, one point of contention, that Jeff talked about is just that area along the highway, whether it was going to be commercial, multifamily. So the only conflict and the reason that there is a comprehensive plan future land use map request change tonight is that the area along the highway was to be all commercial, and the Planning Commission was looking for something different. And so that lot 121, where we're talking about the 27 units, that is the only parcel that would be in conflict with that future land use map. Otherwise, all the other proposed zoning for that preliminary plat follows the future land use map.
That's 21.
121.
121.
Thank you.
Also, Corey left a slightly updated notes on this as well, which I provided in hard copy, different from what was attached to the agenda.
Thank you.
So, excuse me, 121 was zoned commercial prior?
It was.
Yeah.
So what happened is,
I mean, technically, all this land,
I guess,
to be specific, all this land has not been zoned anything yet specifically. It has been proposed to be zoned commercial previously in a previous iteration, and it's now currently zoned as rural development. So what you'll see when you look at our GIS zoning map was a previous proposal of this area here that had it zoned commercial. And in this new iteration, based on comments from before, it's now, that section is now asking, like, they're now or not recommending, but they're asking that we zone it to multifamily.
What about Jim Olson's land?
Commercial. Ocean's land is still zoned commercial. If he wanted to change that, he would have to
do this process.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just saying it's kind of funky to put a commercial land amongst a ton of houses.
So if you look on the map behind you, there's this area is what we're talking about. There's these three gold right there. Those were proposed as the multifamily. What through this conversation, developers just shifting those down to the street side, and then everything else kind of remains the same. So this is an outdated map, but it gives you a good picture of, they already pictured multifamily there. It's now just shifting a little bit. That's what the comprehensive plan is making that confirm. Dan is going to print it out.
To update, so this Bell West Boulevard, this would now go straight into where the entrance of the highway is going to be, which eliminates the multifamily that was there before. And in fairness, just shifting it from here to there so that they'd be able to keep that density, and actually the planning commission higher density. Proposed, to be able to make.
Still on the Bakerswood, or did we move on?
We're on the comprehensive plan part of it, not the zoning part.
Just wondering if we could get some kind of commitment that you're not taking all the trees down, because I could see them just.
So this is just stated, so Plan Commission tonight, through all of their actions, will make a recommendation that they like this site plan, but that still has to be approved by the village board. And again, all the engineering stuff has to be done, and that will have, the final plat will still have to be approved. We still have 2 more approvals before anything is allowed, then I give that stamp that you can build. So I have to get it from them, I have to get it from the board, and then I have to get it from them again before I have the permission from them to say, yeah, go. So we have plenty of time before anything even starts.
Okay, we're not gonna start digging more.
Well, they will not be starting anymore.
So they can bring it all the way back to see how many trees we can.
It can be part of that process, whatever the plan commission village board asks for.
Anyone have a motion for updating the comprehensive plan?
I'll make the motion that we update the comprehensive plan as submitted.
Second. By Chance, seconded by Mike. Any discussion? So even if we wanted to put any type of guidance in place relative to measuring the trees, this wouldn't be the
This is not-
appropriate spot. It would be probably likely the next section. So this is literally just making a recommendation to the board to update the comprehensive plan to have higher density on 69 from commercial. Any additional discussion?
My concern was like removing that commercial property. I just don't want this to be a pattern of removing prime commercial area down the road. So I like the plan that was brought forth about the higher density, which kind of is what we talked about before. Still a little reluctant because I feel that down the road, then everybody will start asking these for these same changes. But as is, if we kind of halt that in the future, I'm okay with this based on the plans that we received tonight.
This is in line with what we talked about the last time they came before us.
Yeah.
We're still keeping the commercial on the west side of the entrance road.
But I thought Gabe said someone could, ever owns it, which could submit to having it changed, but I hear you guys saying that it's going to stay commercial.
Well, that's what I said. It would be up to the group to vote. Yeah.
The village board and the plan commission can say we're not doing it, and somebody can still, hey, I want to do it. Knowing here, may that pass or fail, but somebody still has the right to ask for it. You're paying the fee, so they can still ask, and the plan commission can still say no. So anybody still has the right.
And the committees change every year, so this committee may say this, but whoever is on this commission next year may be fine with it, so.
I get it.
And we do need business.
Let's do roll call.
Okay, we're gonna roll call this. I'm gonna go last names. Sorry, guys. Kaczmarski,
Aye.
Zervis,
Yes.
Ziegler,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Wells,
Yes.
Enlow,
Yes.
Betts.
Yes.
All right, that passes 7-0.
Yeah. So next is public hearing 1989 LLC submitted a rezoning application, Baker's Woods Phase 3, number of parcels to be changed from rural development to BG public grounds, RT 2-family residential, RH single family, high density, RM multifamily residential, and BH highway commercial.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna just jump in here and say, I know this feels redundant because we just had a public hearing on this exact same thing. It's 2 different things. Our first public hearing specifically was about changing the comprehensive plan. This public hearing is specifically, now that the comprehensive plan would allow those changes, this is the approval to make those changes. It's a rezoning application that has to have public. It doesn't have to have the public quiet, but it allows for public comment before. So it is the same thing, but it's different. It can be complicated. I thought I'd just clarify.
So I'm going to open the public hearing for 1989 TR LLC, having submitted a rezoning application for Baker's Woods Phase 3 to be changed from rural development to public grounds two-family residential, single-family, high-density, and multifamily residential and highway commercial at 7:20 PM.
Mr. Chair, for brevity, I think everybody in the room would say, can we kind of say all our comments from the last public hearing would
Exactly.
apply to this one? But I guess just for purposes of, this is the zoning map that we're proposing. The brown being single family, blue multifamily, purple commercial, red multifamily, high density multifamily, that's duplex, and then the green public grounds. Yeah.
And if you wanted to read your spiel for.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
So the public hearing was properly noticed. It was posted in the Post Messenger Recorder on July 11th and 8th. I've included the affidavit of publication as part of the agenda packet. It was also posted at Village Hall, Belleville Public Library, and the Village website on Friday, August 9th.
So I'll say it, this is the time for the public to provide input on the aforementioned topic. After the public hearing closes, the planning commission will discuss and potentially take action. We will now take comments from the public. Please wait to be recognized and state your name for the record. Same parcels of land, same topics. Does anybody have any additional comments they wanted to make? Are there any other comments? Are there any other comments? Are there any other comments? Close the public hearing at 7:21 PM. So this is to discuss and consider approval of rezoning application for 1989 TR LLC Vickers Woods Phase 3 to be changed from rural development to public grounds, two-family residential, single-family, high-density, multifamily residential, and highway commercial. There's application, MSA report, and GEC comments. Looks like we've got updated versions of that.
Sign sheet on the.
Have any
Yeah, I'm for that.
motion updates? Yeah, I didn't see a resolution on this one.
There's not a resolution for this section. What you're just doing is approving or denying the application.
To the rezoning.
To the rezone it's a rezone application, yeah, so you would be
recommending to the board.
And then the board would, I have their ordinances. We did this last month with the 321 James. So you guys just recommend the application or deny the application, and then I present ordinance changes to the board next week. If, depending
I'm
if,
gonna ask
yeah.
Dave or Ian, if I was to recommend approval of the application with a request for additional information relative to the buffer zone that we're talking about and a graphical image of where that would sit, would that be appropriate?
Yeah.
You could do any increased conditions that they wanted to do.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of looking for at minimum an overlay, the scale, I guess, of what things are now with lines drawn over it. I don't think it's necessary to have like individual trees marked, but I guess if there are specimens in there that are, uniqueness, being old or something, that effort to preserve those would be good.
It's all fine.
My other question is, there's a list of things in the MSA document that goes along with.
I think any motion, it's gonna be contingent upon all those being
Okay.
met too, so.
If I may jump in, guys, Ian had talked before about the requirements for the parkland dedication. And maybe just to summarize that, based on the number of units, they're supposed to provide 5.2 acres. While lot 1 is 8 acres, and I think Jeff, you had said about a quarter acre was designated or in your plan for the playground area. And I know since Planning Commission has seen this for the last 3 years, that's been another topic too of discussion is as far as the park. And then, Gabe gave an update as far as, what the village is looking to do. But I just want to emphasize, this would be a good time to discuss that. Ian did give an update on, what the fees would be. As far as it's a per unit fee. Ian, is that right? 1,800?
So it's the 1,800 is the fee in lieu of, and that is a per unit fee. The impact fee is per lot.
Per lot. Okay. So, yeah, I guess as far as what they're providing, 0.25 acres versus 5.2 acres required, and as Kevin has pointed out in his report, stormwater areas, wetland areas, they don't count towards that 5.2 acres. So something the, Planning Commission should take into consideration. But some of these things may have been discussed already and then incorporated into preliminary developers agreement, Gabe, is that right?
We have a we don't have a pre-development agreement yet.
Okay.
Oh, West. So just to clarify the process, so this item on the agenda is to approve the zoning changes from rural development to the 5 different zoning districts.
And to kind of look at the plat too, do you like the design? Do you like the layout? And then make an application to the board.
So the other issues about the overlay with the trees and all that kind of stuff probably should be addressed before, or should it, I guess I'm asking, should that be addressed before we recommend it to the board, or?
If you recommend it to the board with a tree overlay, I will have my survey crew out here by Friday, so we can get some sort of a drawing to the board.
Okay.
And then the trees are where they are.
Yeah, and I mean, I realize, there's no way you can do an overhead, an aerial map of the trees and everything, but I don't expect you guys to go out and mark every tree and say, this one's gonna be torn down or taken down, this one's gonna stay, so.
So you can probably do an overlay with your map with GIS.
Yeah.
And, I mean, something like that.
We could do that too.
An idea.
Right, I mean, I'd be willing to send our crew up here to mark the actual tree line next to these guys' neighbors.
Yeah, well, that would probably be a good thing to have. So, and then, so if we recommend that the board could then, the board, I would think, would not act on until we have that tree overlay and have some more input at a meeting, at a board meeting then, so.
I do have some concerns about the parkland as well. I understand that that's a lot of green space and we can put trails in there and some of that sort of thing, but it's not completely clear what a retention on how much space that will take up. And if we're literally only talking about a 1/4 acre of park space. I'm sorry?
I just said 1/4 acre, it really isn't much.
So anyway, that's.
There's no way to expand that from where it is farther down?
Well, the big issue is ultimately, and this is part of it, like the public probably knows this, but it was a previous plan commission that approved the layouts for everything else. Like most of the people that are on this plan commission weren't here when it's got zoned for former Baker's Woods, all that sort of stuff. So we're trying to play catch up with park space because we did take fees in lieu of parkland, but that's why we're buying lots and we've got about a 1/2 acre basically that will be developing against our green space behind it. But that's still not that much space that we're talking about.
Even with the proposed, land we're buying there.
Right.
My concern also is that whole west side.
Correct.
Doesn't have enough park space. I mean, it's not even close to the ordinance.
It's not even close.
So it is a concern of mine also. I mean, you're gonna have 200 people here. How many kids that is, but 30, I don't know, 50.
One question I had, Jeff, too, is that you had talked, gave it to somebody, you guys are buying park space.
We're buying lots to, yes.
Why would you do that when you could maybe carve off a couple of those 3 lots on the corner of Alberts and Tyler Court there, afford decent park instead of purchasing something with money that you probably don't need to spend?
Well, because any developer, as you well know, is looking
to get as many lots in their development as possible, so.
We understand that, and I understand where they're coming from too, but from the village standpoint, why would you buy lots in phase 4 of Baker's Woods when you may not have to?
I'm sorry, Jim, where was the original parkland platted in the Baker's Woods plat?
The original parkland was platted back. Pretty much all the land. We paid in fee, or in lieu of fees for a lot of it, but a lot of the parkland was all against the river in the back, like 70 acres back there.
So it's kind of the same deal where we have here where it's.
I mean, there's
all
honestly, it wasn't as much parkland as probably needed.
And then I got a follow-up question too. Do you have any idea, sorry, Jim, do you have any idea how many trees were taken down in the first phase of Baker's Woods
First phase?
and for the 55 and over community?
None.
None? It was all field?
Yeah.
Cool.
So just looking at this map, though, the only possible would be those lots down there, like you said.
Possibly, yeah.
This is the option. This is from these 3 lots up to James. So this is the detention. DNR rules basically force you to create a wet pond, which we would want to propose to make deep enough so it had some recreational benefit. Then we had our landscape architect look at there's a playground here, 150-foot circle. You could do a big kids playground and a little tots playground. This pink area is like a 20 by 40 shelter concept. Could be an octagon, could be something else. I mean, start of a trailhead for you. It just kind of shows like what it would be on the edge of the woods.
In this area, I mean, there are some streets that intersect, but you know, that gully area, whatever you want to call it, there does feed into the rest that goes all the way around the development. So we could add to the trail network going through there.
So phase 3, is there a road that goes into phase 1 at all that connects it?
No,
No,
this
it would
goes
just be
James.
So a park in phase 3 wouldn't benefit phase 1,
Or that Baker's
phase
Woods
2.
or the Bell West.
Okay.
But I mean, the lots that are being purchased for a park for on the other side are roughly 2.5 blocks away from that.
Right.
And then that will be a trailhead for the upward trails and all of that.
So it serves very 2 different.
I mean,
Our phase 4 is obviously the closest to where the park is gonna be along the lake anyways, along the river. And I just,
well, again, it's dedicated parkland, but you know, to the point that was made earlier, you're not gonna get a baseball diamond in there or anything like that in that area. I mean, it's shoreline is what it is, you know, so wetland, shoreline.
you know, going back to the original argument back in 2012 is we can't take care of the parks for baseball because we have.
Right.
And that was one of my arguments, 2012, whenever we started this.
Yes, I mean, you know.
But we should try.
But we can't. Physically, the village cannot do it. We've got a great park down there, a sewer park. We just need to redesign it.
And that was
for what we needed.
Yeah, that would be my next. And we're talking about parks here.
So
These poo-pooed, for lack of a better term, any suggestions that have come forward the last year, because we're eventually gonna get a parks master plan here done. So, I mean, and hopefully when that gets done, that will give us a better idea of what we should do and where we should do. But yeah, there's not gonna be a baseball diamond anywhere on that west side.
We can't.
So there's just not, you know.
And like we said before, we got the school across the street.
Right.
2012 argument.
Jeff, you have chance.
Oh, go for it, Chance, sorry.
I think the reality, the position we're in is that from the onset, this is, in my opinion, poorly planned, poorly executed development, period, end of sentence. We're now in the 11th hour. It's time to just finish it and move forward, learn our lessons from this and apply them to future developments that Gabe's going to talk about here in a little bit. I mean, I'll take a shot across the bow. The donation of wetland, while on face value is generous, I think you and I both know that you can't develop that, so it's of no use to you. So you might as well donate it to the village. it's green space. I like green space. It doesn't need to have a playground to be beneficial to the community. So it's a small victory at this point. But ultimately, like I said, I think it's just time to close this chapter, fill in those lots, generate the tax revenue, and make sure that we apply lessons learned to future developments.
He's a chair.
So just a second. I agree with moving forward on whatever we're gonna do. I don't think moving forward without additional park space is a smart thing to do. I understand.
Especially without access for our kids to get to the other parks, the west side
Well,
is still.
that is a different conversation that we are working on as board level, and I'm not trying to confuse that, but like, I don't disagree with the concept, but this is, I just don't know that there's, I mean, I don't know what the other answer is. I mean, like we talked earlier, Ian, like if it's possible to move the retention pond north and we could use more land south of the retention pond as park space, but that's going to cut into residential lots that are being proposed. And maybe I don't know that there's appetite for that from the developer, but I think it kind of gets to the core issue of our ordinances say that we're supposed to be, I think it's like a third of the land, basically.
Well, that's the limit that the board could require according to ordinances.
Well, and this is also on the heels of the other developments that we didn't have any parkland. So this is kind of getting hammered a little bit, unfortunately, but that's kind of where my position is. So, but that's my take.
This question. How quickly can you come back with this design with additional park space? Like if we didn't have to wait a month for the planning commission to review this, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, how long would it take for you comfortably to come back with their thoughts in mind?
We could turn it around quickly if our client's amenable to it. If he says no, then it just sits there.
I'm looking at those additional 3 lots to the south of the county. Having those be parkland. Even if you left the retention pond where it is, you could still develop something there. You're gonna have.
Yeah, I'm just.
Have roughly 3/4 of an acre.
You're saying to leave the parkland on the north end as well, or not?
Well, that would be parkland also.
Okay, yeah, I'm just concerned because it looks like it's gonna slope pretty significantly there. So it would almost be better to move if you could either move it south or north, but just to gain.
Right. Whichever way works better, but
to gain more, like to gain that square footage
three
for parking
lots.
space at the least.
the 3 single family lots on the north side of the curve there.
Right.
You know, surrounded by green space already, if those could become parkland.
I'd be agreeable to that. I like that idea. I mean, we've already kind of bent a little bit on that commercial space rezoning of the comprehensive plan. Because I know that's right now it's more difficult to.
Yeah, we're getting roughly an acre of parkland when ordinances call for 5 for a development this size. So. That's. And you know, the chances point, some of this is on us for.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to point fingers on us specific.
But we do have an opportunity to maybe correct just a little bit of that right now.
Well, I guess my concern,
Potentially,
yeah,
but-
my concern was that if we just say, oh, you know what, we can't do anything about it, we move forward, we literally have like set in stone that there's not going to be any park space on the west side of the village unless we buy a commercial lot and turn that into park space, which I've certainly thought of, but that's going to be more money and not a great idea either. So.
Thank you.
I would assume with the retention ponds, skating.
Not currently,
required.
I don't think so. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. But we probably would look at that if we're putting a park.
I say, why is that? You know, there's no fences around these retaining ponds. And, you know, with no park space, physically drawn to these ponds.
Yeah, there's no fence around the lake though, or river, you know what I mean? There's open water.
I see the kids fishing in their retention ponds all the time.
Yes.
That's a political question. There was a state act that would require municipalities to do, but it failed on.
And there's, you know, what happens is the kids do start playing a lot and one drowns.
I've done it too.
I eat lunch by the lake every single day, and every single day there's at least 10, 15 kids fishing in the lake.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think one of the reasons why it failed too, Gabe, time ago was because if somebody was in there, there's a fence around it in the fire department or somebody else would have to keep it. Fence, it was just more easy access.
And it just came back in 24 sessions ago. Do you think the developer would be interested, amendable to that?
I mean, you guys can make your requirements and I'll take it back to them. I don't really, I can't say yes or no. I will make a statement though that, I mean, yeah, the wetland's not a park, but it is green space and we spent an hour tonight talking about saving green space buffer for the neighbors who built houses last year and now want to save all the trees. So I am making that obvious statement.
Sure. No, and it's appreciated, and none of my comments are directed.
No,
towards you.
I
actually live out in that neighborhood, so I know what the shortage of park space is out there, and
there's a soccer field across the highway, but you just gotta get to it.
yeah, but the traffic out there is 55 miles an hour, and I take my life in my hands when I try to cross it with my dogs.
Yes.
It's even worse with kids, so,
He could donate the park, the corner lot, on Olson Drive, or Olson Park. Done.
Perfect. You know, like we said, when we designed it years and years ago, we took the fact that, you were there, you remember. We had all the land across the street from the school. One thing we didn't understand was how to get the people from Baker's Woods across the street. We obviously failed on that. Chances, it was bad development, but, back in the day, we thought it was good development, so. And, at the end of the day, it depends what the village is gonna do along the park. If they walk up on the river, they can make that something special. But that's up to the village and park, committee, whatever the case is, so. We can salvage a nice park out of that sooner or later. We're not getting a baseball field.
it's gonna take time and quite a bit of money, so
You're gonna get $1,800 per lot coming in, so.
it's not enough.
Okay, so thank yous are growing.
So with that, I'm assuming we don't really need a motion at all at this point.
I would, yeah, you need a motion, approve, deny, table until further information, like. Postpone, like, we need direction from you, what, about you.
So I guess I would make a motion to approve it based on the contingencies for MSA, the comments relative to mapping out the tree line and figuring out what the possibilities are for additional park space in the development.
Do you want to see all that before?
I probably would, yes.
Yeah.
Table.
Yeah, I think it'd be more a table than.
It's a postponement. A table is come back to it at the same meeting and a postponement is the next. I'm being Robert Rules,
Yeah.
Vicky, I apologize.
That's.
Be able to make an informed decision without that information.
Right. Well, but I think the question is, with that information, are we comfortable as a body, the plan commission, providing that recommendation with that information? I don't know that we are, because I think the park alone is enough that I probably want to see it back at plan
Yeah.
commission.
I would agree. I mean, I think we should see it back here first, and if we have to have a special meeting, we have to have a special meeting, but,
Meeting quicker than a month turnaround. That's the only way to get that.
I think so.
I would be. I mean, you've done a good job. I'd like to, since we made this recommendation, I would be agreeable to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't want to delay if we don't have to.
Yeah, my goal is not to delay it.
Do you have a specific, are you guys saying it's those 3 lots are bust or what are you saying?
Personally, I'm saying that I would like a park bigger than a quarter of an acre. I don't know what that means. Again, you guys are the engineers relative to whether you're moving that retention pond around, if you could build on that spot and use the lots below as a park, and that's more space, but I think it needs more park space. I think you could even, again, I don't know of how easily this would be done, but even if you move the retention pond lower, is there more park space there? Could you open up park space across the street next to the well house? I don't know. Like I think that the issue is that we've got a shortage of park space on that side of town. And that's where we're kind of in a bind.
So to that point, I guess, of where the park would actually be, I mean, it's not set in stone where it's shown on those pictures. So would we be amendable if we could get it to a full acre of usable park space? We've got a quarter on the picture there, and we talked about those additional 3 lots, which is about another 3/4. So combined, that would be about an acre. And is that regardless of where it is in the development?
If you're amenable to that, then you may not have. Said
I mean, that seems reasonable to me. I almost need to see it in kind of a graphic.
I'm just thinking, I mean, assuming each lot is roughly a quarter acre.
Sure, I understand.
You got 4
Right. You'd have
4 single family lots right in the center. Would be, kind of a centrally located park. Are there 4 of the 4 along the east side there? To have 4 continuous lots to make an acre that you could make a long, narrow park. Doesn't matter to us.
I personally don't think so. I think it's just the space. And not just green space, but park space, like usable park space.
We have enough money to make it usable. I mean, he's gonna give you park space, and you're just going to sit in grass at some other parks. Even feasible.
Yeah, that's where we have park impact fees.
But do we have enough money to do something with it? That's my question.
That's a board question. I can tell you, I would say, yes, we need to use some money to do that, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with that acre wherever they potentially want it.
Because
Oh, sorry, go finish.
just get us an acre of buildable, usable park space to put a structure on, put playground equipment, make some sort of a half basketball court even. I don't know, but something that's usable that, we can't make a park. You're gonna put those things in wetlands. So
I was just gonna point out, we sort of have a motion on the table with no second, but I'm not really sure where we're at.
can you repeat the
Well,
motion?
I'll withdraw my motion because we're going in a different direction. Anyway.
Okay.
So, because it sounds like we can actually make a motion to call for an acre and still take it to the board. So I'll make that motion, which is to provide a contingent recommendation to the board based on more information to meet MSA's requests, which I think were 13 items on their list. An outline of what the tree line would look like and an adjustment to the plan to include up at least an acre of usable park space.
Second.
Any additional discussion?
Can you try and stay away from the pond?
Try to stay away from the pond.
Keep the playground away from the pond?
Yeah, I would think we wouldn't intend to do that, but it really depends. We don't even know where the park is
Yeah,
going to be.
I'm just saying it is
Yeah.
scary.
Well, I don't have any interest. I mean, yeah, that's part of the reason we didn't put a playground on Brook Street next to the pond there. So that's a board question. I don't know. If there's.
Well, but to the point that was made earlier, the community park is surrounded by water and that's a park.
It's a little different. Than,
Well, it is.
A
but-
retention pond with a slope into it is a
Yeah.
little different than community.
Kids aren't sent down there to play by themselves.
It's fine. Yes, we definitely can discuss that. So, any additional discussion relative to that?
Here's a couple little things. I just wanted to ask about, I don't know if Chance is still on, or if they were okay with the multifamily, the private drives. Since there are several separate buildings divided by public drives, are they gonna need any kind of turnaround or anything?
Yeah, for emergency
Yeah,
access.
I don't know.
Well, so this is not a PUD.
It is not a PUD.
But I mean, same things, the current PUD was the same issues, are the streets wide enough to get a fire truck down and, does there need to be a second entrance or exit out of there? So.
I'm just,
No, I agree. Wearing my old EMS hat, that was the first thing that popped into my mind when I saw that is that, it's gonna be tight back there.
I mean, just based on what I see, on here, I don't think it would be a tough ask to see T's on the end of a couple of the private drives just for turnaround purposes. That and then guy had a good point about auxiliary parking, and that could kind of play into that too.
Which was an issue in the PUD, so.
If maybe at the end of the three dead ends of the private drives, if you put a T intersection and made that parking or something like that. And then, since the developer has no plans to develop the commercial section, but he's gonna raise the home that's there, and I'm assuming the outbuildings and everything, is there any reclamation plan for that? And then I guess it's kind of a moot point depending on what happens, but I was wondering about, grading plan for a park. I suppose that would happen later on anyway.
So you brought that up about access and a turnaround. Is it possible to put, what's it called, an approach where you go from the road into a driveway on that southern part of the driveway? You basically have two entrances to the multi-family area? Or is that like a DOT thing that
We couldn't put another one off.
Yeah, not off the highway.
no, not the way they'd be on the new section of road?
I think there are two entrances, aren't there?
I only saw just one
There's
entrance.
just only one entrance.
So just wrap around between the two buildings?
Yeah.
You'll likely have an access restriction off the state highway. I can't tell you what that is, but if we can get one, it'd be easy.
Well, your first driveway is, I think it's 84.5 feet or so to the north, parallel to the highway. So I'm just wondering if that can get, what is this new
That's a
road gonna be
no-brainer.
called?
Yeah.
I mean, that would
We
be,
didn't assume that we would be allowed an access that close to the state highway, the other intersection, but
I guess that's my question. I don't know if you'd be allowed either.
Would it be any different if it was just an entrance and not a two-way?
A driveway entrance is what all you're talking about is if you had a driveway, if it was a driveway or off of both the north-south road and Bell West Boulevard there, if you could make those driveways and then at least you could come in and go around to a point, so.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, will DOT allow
specifics, I think we could, obviously they want to be submitted to the village.
Yeah, because so that yard trading plan concept of it, that's not what this is.
Right.
So when they propose what those buildings look like, that's when we will go through all of this.
just like we went through with the 83 units on that.
Most of this was not.
My bad.
Jay. Shame.
All right.
Just trying to talk about not parks.
So we've got a motion on the table from me, seconded by Mike to, I don't know if I'm.
You want me to read that? I think I got it.
If you don't mind.
To approve the application contingent on meeting the MSA. Nope, I don't have it perfectly. Also with the concept of the tree outline and an adjustment to the plan to include at least 1 acre of usable park space.
It's tree overlay, I would say. more.
Yeah, like a tree, yeah, tree overlay or tree line, like a clear outline where the tree line is.
Almost had it.
It was the MSA, it was the 13 items that MSA outlined.
Yeah. MSA items.
If you sent, email me the 13 items,
I'd be happy to.
never seen them.
Yep.
I assume they're purged.
I think is that the one we attached to the agenda?
Are they on the agenda?
I should hope.
It's attached here.
They're attached to the agenda. So I can share.
You might have already seen them. It looks like they were sent on July 26th.
We'll call tomorrow and check, make sure everything.
All right, so we've got motion seconded by Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Can I do my presentation? So, we're interested about the other two.
Go for it.
To skedaddle. Okay.
Item C.
Steve.
It's three different copies. Did anybody want a paper copy?
Here, Gabe.
First come, first
I got
served.
I'd love to stay, but.
You need to go eat a
You're
burger.
gonna have to share.
Go get something.
I'm gonna go get some.
You have to back your hired staff.
That's what they said. Hopefully they're not, kitchen's not closed. 9 o'clock, they close.
No, you're good. You're good.
9 o'clock, the kitchen closed.
Don't get bored by this, but it's hopefully to give you a little bit of that decision-making process. So we're gonna review one online resources for you, online resources for building, for developers, comment, question, review of kind of non-residential developments. So we have a lot of things happening. It isn't residential, and I might put a couple of this on that list. The development schedule, and then ongoing and future. So online resources, check out our website. We have a lot of stuff. We have a comprehensive plan for the parks and open space plan, park facilities needs assessment, downtown design standards, development 101 FAQ, development review schedules. Like, we have a lot on our website. Take a look at that. We're still updating things as we're going. So some of it isn't truly updated yet. We do have a lot. So take a look at that, ask questions, review it. The active projects list, this is a GIS site that I created in very long. I do feel like it'd be a little bit more professional in some of the zoning stuff on there, but this was kind of just to get a basic idea of what are the projects going on. It's maps. It tries to get updated as soon as I know something is going on. So take a look at that. That's a lot of stuff. And this is parks. This is what's coming across the street. This is a little bit of everything. So pinpoint stuff that are happening. We have the do business in Belleville page. It's resources, it's open land, it's all of that. That's a resources that's really good for developers to take a look at. And then also the Chamber of Commerce, those who are developers in the village, not just residential, but commercial, who want to open a business in Belleville. That's a great spot for them to go. So we have a building for that. So commonly asked questions. The reason why that first amendment really had to come up is the comprehensive plan is that decision-making body. This group in the public village board, they can hate the design. They can say that is an ugly design, it looks gross, I hate the color, blah, blah, blah. But if it matches what the comprehensive plan says and what our ordinance says, then they really aren't saying yes or no to that. They're saying yes or no, did it meet our standards? That's what is the most important document in that kind of development stage is the comprehensive plan. It got updated. When it's our goal to update it more and do that in its last 20 years. It's a state statute. We have to have it. But that is the development. If something's going to happen, it has to be updated to that. It has to be to fit that standard. So take a look at that. New housing developments to replace the utilities and infrastructure. We talked about this, but that's the developer. The developer pays for that. We obviously can do agreements or something like that, but mainly it's all the developer that pays for any of the new infrastructure. And then impact fees. We talked about it a little bit, but growth should pay for growth. It is my policy as the administrator that I'm not going to recommend what has happened in the past. If there's new growth, that should be able to pay for that. It's incremental. If something is coming up in that 5-year line, if we have to raise rates, it's 1%, 1%, 1% to get up to that, not 0.05, 10, 0.0000. I'd rather have that incremental growth, the non-really impactful growth over a 10-year timeline than 5 years, 10 years, and then it's paid for. Like, I'd rather have that strong growth that's just a steady pace. Strong financial management. Non-residential developments, we're going through a process now. We've had some really good offers, and the board is looking at it. Our commercial real estate firm is looking at it, but the Village Depot and former library, those are going to be something hopefully really soon. We have good ideas. We've had that first initial questions looking at financing. Obviously, the Village Board, I think it's hopefully soon, but they're going to be making a presentation to the public before Village Board makes any decision. So the public will have the full right to be able to ask questions, look at it. There's really good options. All three have their positives and negatives. So I'm really excited for you guys to be able to look at that, see what's going on there. As you can probably tell with the green monster that's across the street, John Ales is coming downtown. So that's a really good thing. The Hop Garden from Paoli is opening. It's a facility downtown as well in this old garage shop. And then the quilt shop across the street is also going to be redeveloped. We do not have a concept yet presented to me, but that is coming on the list too.
There's also a new barbecue place going in where Johnny's was.
It hasn't been confirmed by me yet, but if that's
You
true,
gotta sign up if they're opening in September.
wonderful. Then that's great. So we have a lot coming. And then I'm meeting with the owner of a majority of these buildings down here of how can we open that space up to the park and make that whole downtown a lot more usable instead of just sheds back there.
I mean, did a lot
Yeah.
of.
We have a lot of alcohol.
I know. Is there anything that the village board of that can do? I mean, how many liquor licenses can we give out?
So we have 6 full ones.
So when liquor licensing is complicated, because there's different types. There's Class A, which are your takeaways from your like convenience stores, grocery stores. There's Class Bs, which are like your restaurants, your in down, sit down. And then those are split up into beer, then liquor, which will include wine unless, and then there is a wine that doesn't include liquor. And so beer, Class B beers and Class B wines are unlimited. We can, as many as people ask, and the liquor license advisory recommends to the board to give out, we can give those out. Class B liquors are contingent on your population from 1997. So yeah, Gabe is right. We have 6 of those at the moment, 5 original ones, 1 reserved, and we're super close to a 7th, but
We need 12 people to get that next liquor license.
Yeah.
Literally 12.
So-
The state gave it its population. We're working on countering that to see if we can get that next liquor license, and the village board technically has to approve that.
all liquor licensing does come, so licenses are held by us to the village, and they have to be renewed every year, which is why we have a license advisory board.
I just think giving, more liquor license and more liquor license, it's gonna hurt businesses. I mean, it's great Hop Garden's coming in with this new idea, outdoor garden and stuff, but let's face it.
Well, and I'll point out a Hop Garden license is done through the state and not through the village. Those are a different type of liquor license.
And theirs is just beer, there's no food. They're actually gonna be partnering with the Llama to be able to provide the food back and forth. So it's actually a partnership with.
And future. Yeah.
And then Debbie from the Llama has purchased that whole building and is really hoping to make that a really cool space. And I'm excited for her too. That's
I just hope we look at more development like this, family oriented than.
other business. So that's the one frustration that if you ever decide you want to switch career paths and sit in my chair, which I don't know if you want to or not, but
You don't.
you probably don't. But if it matches ordinance, it matches commercial district zoning rules, I have no say. If it follows the ordinance, they don't have any say because it is a business that we've allowed. And if it fits in that commercial list of what we say is in the legal commercial business, if they want to come in there, that's fine. I can't stop it. They can't stop it. We legally can't because that's state law.
I think that's a big misunderstanding.
Yeah, and I think it's true, like, I would love to have, let's just say a pet store. But if an accountant wants to come in there and that's a legal business and that's a fit in that use that we said that use can be, I can't stop it, even if I think that pet store would be so cool. So that is that misconnection is I don't have. I agree.
I hate taking my kid down the road.
Trust me, it's somebody.
There's another bar.
Yeah,
Hopefully, as we grow, they'll become more attractive to all types of business.
that is the goal. One thing too that is kind of new, and I've really been pushing it in my tenure so far, and we will be pushing it hard next year, and holding true to this, is the development review schedule. It takes time for the developers to come up with concepts, for me just to shoot it down and stuff like that, but like it takes time. It is a process. And so we are now implementing more of it takes 6 weeks for them to present it, for us to be able to print it, to be able to mail it, to be able to get it to you guys, the residents, for the commission to be able to do things, for Kevin and Corey who are on the line to be able to provide their comments before it comes to planning commission. So holding to that 6-week list will allow us to have times to do our ample reviews. That hasn't always been the case. So that will really help make that process a little bit smoother and be able to answer questions prior to this coming up. To hopefully avoid some of the things that happened tonight is if I can catch it sooner, I can try to get to it before it has to come to this. Obviously, I'm not gonna be able to catch everything. Planning commission may not be able to catch anything, and that's why this search process happens. But if we can catch it a little bit, draft development schedule. So this is a lot happening from what we have concept wise. So Bell West Phase 4, which I'll go through the map in a second, starting construction August 2024. That's north side of James Street. Baker's Woods, that's what we've discussed tonight. Hopefully the winner if they get approved and go through the site plans. But again, they have to get approval, then we have to go through the plat approval, and then they have to do the site plan approval. It's like, it is a lot more processes. So don't think that tonight was that last night. We're gonna have this is gonna be going on for quite a while. 1848, you may not know about this one, but there's 11 townhomes coming right next to Riverville Bar and Grill, right behind Riverville Bar and Grill. They have been partnering and working with the owners of Riverville and with the bowling alley in conjunction to just make sure everybody's happy with the developments. I talked with both of them, they were, and so that's a really exciting project that's gonna be townhomes. It's actually fitting in between. Fitting in between. Colt Drive, we'll go through this one, so I'm gonna pass on it for a sec. Green County Development, Highway 69 Development, and Rimini Road, these are all the same developer that are doing all of this. He's purchased all of this land. It is our hope that all of this gets annexed into the village this fall. That is the thought process. 300 to 400 acres about to be put into the village.
I'm gonna say, so I thought property on Colt Drive already was part of the village.
It
It is. I'm talking about, so Green County Development, and we'll go through this, so.
Oh, okay.
So let's talk about an ideal development real quick. So an ideal development layout is on that highway. So on the left side of the screen, that green, that should be commercial mixed use. That's your ideal. That's your blocker. That's kind of Noodles and Company, Panera right there, State Farm, whatever you put on that lower level. Residential on top, or just commercial that full. That's kind of your ideal. Then your next is more high density. That's your apartment rows. That's your kind of the nice upper scale apartments. And then you have multifamily or single family. So like you go through that phase of it. The development so far, they've done an okay job. Like you kind of see how they started that. So I'm not saying they're bad, but that's kind of your ideal. You want commercial, you want multifamily, and then you want. So you have that separate phase a little bit. So Baker's Woods, so started a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. Baker's Woods and Bell West, these acronyms were a pain in the butt. So it took me a little while to learn what was all going on. And so I figured if I don't necessarily know, residents might not fully know what we're calling what. So Baker's Woods, this is Colt Drive, James, everything below James. That is what's Baker's Woods. So phase 1 is that green. It's in progress. The only thing that's reason why I say it's still in progress is in two commercial lots. Those are the only things that haven't been put on anything yet. All the houses are done, or in both duplexes. Phase two is the blue, that's the 55 plus community. Phase, well, that's 1.5 technically. Phase two is orange, done, and then phase three is what we discussed tonight. Any questions on Baker's Woods? Bell West, so Bell West is technically only the picture. There's technically a Bell West first edition. That's not confusing. So Bell West phase one is the Quick Trip and the UW Health. That's still in business. That's still, we have 2 commercial lots still available in that section. Phase two is the blue. That's where Colt Drive is coming. That's where Colt Drive goes. Done. Phase three is that orange. That's just this 2. That's the chiropractor and the lot right above it. We haven't filled the one that's right in front of the chiropractor yet. And then phase four is the purple, which is blank. There's nothing on there yet. So then you get Bell West first edition. So essentially,
Phase 4 commercial land, the purple?
Yep, all of it is commercial.
Okay.
All Bell West is commercial, except that Cold Drive.
So technically, if you want to be, there's 2 that's commercial, and then 7 that are business park. That could be a doll, the company wants to build a factory right there. That would work there too. Then you have Bell West first edition. This is, so green is that first part. Blue obviously is that second. First and second are done. That orange is currently being worked on now. We've had 44 houses built in 2024. And then in purple is that phase 4. Right where that top purple section is, that little bump out, that's where the village is purchasing those 2 parks, or 2 lots for the parkland to be able to access our land, because our land is that tan that kind of surrounds it. So it's our.
You started grading the road.
And they have already started to grade the roads. Up Bell West. And the Shamrock Hills, the green and the blue have been done. That's started. The blue is June Street. That cutoff. That orange, that's blank land. We have not had any developer there. He's trying to sell it, but there's 103 lots there that is ready to go. If somebody wants to develop, wanting to develop that. Obviously, the infrastructure is not fully in, like roads, but we do have the utilities in there. So it's that. So Colt Drive is in review process right now. It's 7.2 acres, 83 units. Currently zoned as multifamily. We are still in the process of reviewing a development agreement with them. TID financing is involved in this project, so it is a TID eligible project. And what that means is if a development wants to come into a TID property, it has to pass that but-for test. So a but-for test is that project cannot happen, but for we provide public financing for it to happen. So if it doesn't pass that, we can't do it. And so we have our municipal advisors, Ellers, running pro forma tests right now, looking at their rates, looking at their building costs, looking at the price of wood, looking at everything, looking at market rates, everything you can possibly say, right? If we're going to provide some taxpayers to this, that increment in that area, is it suitable? Will they survive based on how much we're giving them? And are we making a good investment? So we're going through that process right now through our TID. Yeah.
This Marcel's,
What?
is this Marcel's?
This is
Vicky's.
Vicky Funstaff.
It's
Fun size.
yeah, back to myself, or back to Punta. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you call this a TID?
TID and TIF.
Yes.
It's the
What's the
same.
difference?
So TID is the district. So this table is the TID. How we fund something inside this table, I want to put this sheet of paper in there. That's TIF. That's the financing that we get to put something in there. So TID is the district. TIF is the financing inside the district.
It's the map, TIF's the mechanism.
So TID and TIF all involve taxpayer money?
They're interchangeable.
They're the same.
They're the same.
Yeah. Like I just said, the TID is the district,
Yeah.
and then TIF is just technically what we use to finance.
What does that do to the taxpayer if we're gonna create, or if we're gonna have this TIF or TID district?
Because anything paid inside that TIF district is paid out in the TIF district. So the increment, the tax increment that is built inside that district stays within that district, the life of the life as it is. And then it is built via design, or kind of enhance the infrastructure inside it to be able to do upgrades and all that to it. So the money stays in that district until it closes. So all the projects that we were hoping to do, the Cold Drive development, the money that we would give them to be able to start up, none of that is taxpayer dollars to be able to do that. So your tax base will not be impacted by this. It's just the revenue inside those districts.
Because if we didn't have the TID, where would the tax revenue go?
It would go back to us once it closes. So
Part of it would come back to us.
then part of it goes back
So-
to the county, so it goes to MATC. And
Think of it this way. This is the way I think about it. I don't know if it helps or not, but think of like Quick Trip, right? So Quick Trip generates a bunch of tax revenue, right? They're part of the TID. So really, the village right now doesn't get any of that revenue that Quick Trip pays because it's funding stuff in the TID.
we just get
So because space,
Sorry?
It's not really going out to.
No, it's not going out to village projects. It's literally staying in the funding of the TID. So now what we're saying is like that money pools up and that period of time that we keep that TID in force, we can use those funds to improve other things within the TID or within a half a mile, basically, outside of the TID. So like the parkland that we're purchasing, some of the trail projects that we're proposing are within a half a mile of that TID. So we're actually utilizing the funds that are being generated by things inside of that TID so that we don't have to burden the rest of the taxpayers to basically pay for those things.
And village board meetings, was they're talking about closing a TID?
Correct. That's the TID that we're talking about. Well, before that, we closed another TID that wasn't profitable. It wasn't generating additional revenue. But what we were talking about relative to this TID and literally the last board meeting was that why Ellers was here is that we were talking about how it's cash flowing and how long, if we kept it open for longer, we can actually fund more projects basically to facilitate that. So if we were to close it, the village would actually get some of those funds, but we'd actually also have to share it with the other 3 taxing authorities, school district, the county, and the MATC. So it's advantageous for the village to not do that if we can and utilize it for projects that are beneficial to the village.
And it is a partnership, so.
Right.
We have a joint review board is what manages that districts and the finance between the plans for it and all of that. So the people that are in charge of that, the village has say over that, but also the school district has their say over it, the counties have their say over it, and MATC have to say it. So we have to get all of those bodies to say, we agree to these projects, we agree to how you're financing it for it to be approved. So it's not a unilateral village decision. It is a multi-group, multi-jurisdictional that makes that decision. We make a recommendation. We're the ones that hold the financing. But we report to those groups to get their say.
This would be a good project or a good subject for your copy.
It would be a great one.
To explain all.
I would love to
We
do
need to
it.
hear it again.
Happy to.
It's confusing to us.
It is confusing to me too. It's not a 5-minute conversation, for sure.
Thank you.
Is this TID 3 we're talking about?
And that's where you said you got the money to buy the 2 lots because
They're within a half a mile.
Correct.
And what did we pay for those 2 lots?
So rough numbers, technically the sale price is 200,000, but that's not actually what we're paying for it because Chef Petrie owes us money. And so what he owes us about $100,000. And so what we are doing from that is we're paying him the 200 and he's paying us 100 back. So we are really only going to pay the 100,000.
Yeah. And we're also applying for grants to potentially pay for that as well. So.
Are they extending that TIF in 2030? Because I know it's on the drop dead date's 2030 right now, correct?
It's a 6-year, so there are 2 3-year extensions. And yeah, I believe with the projects that we wanted to do, that we'd probably go for both extensions.
The 2036 is the drop dead date now?
I think so.
Yeah.
Has that been decided on already?
That's what the village board has made their, they haven't, yes, I think that's. 1848, these are the townhomes that I talked about behind Riverville. Pretty much a 1 acre, 14 townhomes, sorry, not 11. This hasn't gone through plan commission yet, so it's just a concept. But they've been working pretty good with us. They've been working with fire and EMS to make sure their turnoffs are good. They originally had it higher than we were allowed to, and that's part of that review process. They wanted it higher and fire had to say no because we don't have a ladder to get up to it. So like it is this is not, it doesn't get approved in one night. There's a lot of conversations that go into this. And so the next steps are to review a site plan and approve a development agreement. So Green County Development, if you are on Facebook, this was discussed at length. This is a concept only. So this was a, what do you think? Not a, this is what we are wanting to do or recommending this. This is a, what do you think we'd like to see? So this is 65 acres in Greene County. We have not had any real growth in Greene County for years. So this is a huge step for those who live in Greene County. This is 250 recommended 250 single family homes. Obviously their parkland right now is 5.39 acres. Obviously we will be that'll be for two discussions. But they recommend right now it's right on the bike trail. And so be able to have a really nice trailhead park right next to the bike path. Their next steps are really, we got to annex it first. It has to become part of the village before we can have any conversations on what it looks like. Because right now it's not our land. So it doesn't matter what we think, doesn't matter what conversations have, doesn't matter what they thought. Until it becomes our jurisdiction, the conversations are a waste of time because we have no say over it. So first it has to become there, and then they have to decide what is the plat looks like, what is all this, where are the housing, where's the parks, where's the sidewalk, where's everything. So this is not a quick.
So what is the timeline for the annexation?
They want to start fall, and they want to annex everything in the fall is their hope.
So how quickly would things go? So this is a super important one to me. I live at the end of South Vine and 4th Street.
Yep.
The road to access this literally goes through right next to my bedroom window.
Okay.
So I'd really like to know the details and how things are shaken out.
Yeah, no decisions have been made. They're hopefully annexing this fall. Site plans and probably all of that will start winter, fall. So I'd say stay tuned. They haven't annexed in yet, so we have lots of time. But I'd say just checking. And I can get your contact information and I can try to keep you updated too of as much as I can.
Yeah, because just in looking at that map, it looks like there's 3 access points.
Yeah.
I'm at the corner of 4th Street and South Vine. My niece happens to live on Greenview, which is a lovely neighborhood where all kids play in the streets because there's no traffic unless you live on Greenview.
And now there will be a lot more.
And that comes through.
Yep.
So.
And I think access is a major point, and that's part of why fire department's gonna have issues with turnaround and access and all that. So like, again, this is not a flyby. This is gonna be a quick pass. So there's a lot of things that have to go on. There's also no utilities past your houses. So they have to install all of that and stuff like that. So there's gonna be a lot more conversations to be had.
How's this?
This was Jeff Petrie, the good gentleman here, Jeff Lincoln held. He presented this just as, what do you think? What are your initial concepts?
And who would we annex it from?
Exeter.
Exeter?
Town of Exeter.
Exeter, yeah.
And so
Exeter.
one thing too that I guess getting into the nerdy weeds of things, there is tensions between towns and villages, and a lot of it really comes down to annexation powers. We have the ability to annex. We don't really have the ability to stop. If water and sewer are available, they have to be provided. The towns were designed to be able to be eaten by villages or cities or things like that. That is what they were designed to do. It creates a lot of tension in his past life with the city of Beloit and the town of Beloit. Like, that's how it works. And so that does create a lot of tensions because that's how the state worked it. That's how they built it, designed it. And that's what we have to deal with.
Let's say all this happens. I guess, when are you volunteer fire department? When are you not a volunteer fire department? I mean, it's getting big, so, you know, the impact, is there a rule of thumb for something like that?
We,
Or how many fire trucks you have to have?
not great, like, Wanakee, where I past worked, that's 15,000 residents, that's volunteer fire department. So like, there's a lot of municipalities. Yeah, I think that comes down, so we have a fire district board that would make that ultimate decision.
Whether fire and EMS are volunteer paid, I shouldn't say it doesn't have anything to do with growth, but it's got to do with whether the people want to actually volunteer their time or not. And
Right.
people don't want to do that anymore, so.
Right.
And so what Ian just told me is town of Beloit, 7,500 people, they had 2 stations and it was all
Two
staff.
stations, full-time, 3 shifts.
So like,
Yeah.
every municipality does it very different. So I think if that's something that you guys feel like is a conversation that needs to be had, tell the board. I think that is a huge voice that needs to be heard from you guys. So for the Green County development, for people who are here, this is concept only. Nothing has been approved, nothing has been recommended. They have just provided this is their concept. What do you think? Obviously, they heard what you guys thought during the Facebook comment. I think is bring that to the plan commission when it comes back. Talk to us, talk to me, let me know what you think. Like, don't stress about it yet. We are not at that level yet. But when it starts coming, be attending, hear your voice. That's how you make things happen. So do what you did tonight. And no apartments right now, it's all single family. Highway 69 developments. Yeah.
Is it so yet,
It is Peter's zone.
above the north of, cemetery?
That's what you just look at that. Sure. Jumping ahead. This is also Petrie's development. So Jeff Lincoln held the gentleman here. When somebody asked, will he be back? He's gonna be back. He's gonna be back a lot. And again, somebody rightfully buys it. I can't stop that. If somebody says I want to develop it, I can't stop it. I can hold them to our standards, but I can't pick and choose. I want your developer versus this developer. If somebody buys it, I have to work with them.
We put anything out there to developers to see if people
It's not,
like to bid on it or anything like
It's
that?
not our land.
it's not our
Our
land.
land.
It's a private sale, but somebody bought it from somebody else.
So that's the one conversation too that I had earlier with somebody, like, this is a small town. Why can't Public Works go shut off my water if it's sprinkling? Or it's leaking and all that? And I think that's a very neighborly thing. That's government shutting down somebody's water and going onto their private property. I, as government, or they as government, shouldn't make a recommendation. On this. Our job is to work with the public, whoever we get and represent. So you don't necessarily want a government entity saying, I want this person, or I want this. It just doesn't. So you, ideally, yeah, but no. And how it actually works. And if somebody buys it, if you get what you get, and yeah. So not a great answer, but it's how it has to be. The seller though didn't have to sell it to them. So that's kind of your.
But if the village annexes, you're the owner.
Well, no, we control what happens in it, but we were not the owner of it. So like, I'm not the owner, your homes are all in the village. I don't own your home. I control things in that, but I don't control. So Jim Wilson, if he wants to develop something, I don't control how he develops or what that, I control what it is and what it looks like and the general concepts of it, but he can present whatever he wants. He owns the land.
Who owns that land now?
Jeff Petrie,
He does own it.
he does.
That's what I missed. I apologize.
He does own it. He just hasn't, it's still in the town of Montrose. So he's wanting to annex that into the town of, in the village of Belleville. So that's 66 acres. Parkland units, we don't know yet. Right now it's rural development. So next step, annex it to the village and then review the plat design. Well, I know you guys have talked about, when's the growth, what's that? Also think about, I meet with the businesses regularly and the big business owners and how can I help them? And I get it from Piggly Wiggly and from others, like, we need more houses or else we don't have enough people coming to our stores and we can't hold the merchandise that we have. So also think about it from both ways. And I get it from both sides. I have businesses that say we need more people to be able to survive. We have people say we can't have too much growth, we can't handle it. So we do have both forces working and providing their input as well. And then the last one is Remy Road. Remy Road is 168 acres that'll be annexed into the village this fall. This is across from River Park. Quite a bit of it is to be industrial. zoning, but the seller of that property did state that 35 acres has to be dedicated to the parkland. So everything south of the Sugar River is to be a park. That was part of the owner's ask for Jeff Petrie. So again, Jeff Petrie owns the south side, he owns the east, west side, and Al owns the north side.
All right.
Like I said, I can't certificate stuff. Was there a question that I missed?
Yeah, Gabe.
Yeah.
All our current developers up to date on the fees they owe the village for anything.
We're still working on 1 and 2, and then, we have an agreement with Petrie to get his flat. And everything from that agreement, from then forward with the current projects, yes, everything's going on as Martine and I were able to step in, from my knowledge.
Yeah, no, we're
We're up to
since,
speed.
since we started, we're up to date.
So how much is owed?
Roughly, and like you said, I think it's 120 or 130. I could check the exact number for Petrie. Yeah, that isn't necessarily his fault for not paying. We asked for him to hold on to it until we figured out what was going on with the parking lots. And then that's actually what started the conversation with the park lots, was him calling to get an amount to write the check. And then there's another 47,000-ish for another developer, and then that's it. I mean, we have invoices out, but nobody else has passed a month, so.
So it's we've gotten a lot of it under control, and it's a lot of just going back and forth, what has been paid, what's not, and just doing the. So that is all I had. It's a lot. Like, things happen the way developers say they want it to be growing. 1,100 new units, right? Roughly about 1,000.
Between 11, 12.
Population double in the next 10 years. So you'll be about 5,000 residents if these developments all happen on schedule. No economic downfalls, no economic markets, no everything back. The developer gets what they want to get. That's what.
Dude.
Make sure we get what we want.
I agree. And again, part of the problem too, and I think the village board has the authority to be able to make that decision, but when there's a rotating finance director, village administrator, there's no one to help. My job is to give them advice based on my schooling, my master's degrees, Ian's master's degrees. Like, it's our job to be able to give them advice the best we can do. But if we don't have these people here, like we haven't had, I'm the longest term administrator since 2018.
Oh, I just moved here.
And I've been here for a year. And so you don't have people there helping the board make those decisions. And so things like that do happen because you don't have that person who has this degree that can help kind of guide those decisions. So that's, I think, a big thing too, is having.
You want something new to push?
Yeah, I'd love something.
The rest railroad checked. When can they get that tunnel?
The tunnel is actually, that's a state project. And they are working on that this year or early next year. It was approved by the state. The governor approved that in their budget. So the Stewart Tunnel is a state project and they are funded it. So hopefully this year or next year. Nothing.
I've heard rumors it was supposed to be done by spring of 26, I think is.
Yeah. But it's also a state project. So. Shrug.
Well, but it was part of their 2025 budget. So they've got to spend the money.
Hopefully.
As long as the legislature releases the funds, they can build it. So.
It's kind of like getting me running. I don't start very fast, but once I get going, I'll get.
He doesn't go very fast.
But you can't make it across the village at this time.
Okay.
So does that help answer some questions? And again, my card is right up there. Come talk to me whenever you have questions. I'm here. I'm here a lot. So don't hesitate to reach out.
Are you going to put this out on the website?
I'll put it on our website.
Right, so next is moving back to new business. Item A, discuss and consider beer garden ordinance.
Okay, some of you guys heard this because I brought it to the board and then I was really reminded that it has to come to you guys first. So currently what happens with our beer gardens is it goes through license advisory. It's a yearly application. It's only $25 and then I have to spend about a bazillion dollars in certified letters reminding their neighbors there's a beer garden near them. And then that goes to license advisory and we approve that yearly. What we'd like to do for administrative ease and cost saving is to move the beer garden application basically to a conditional use permit. It would be a one-time fee based on a conditional use permit. We would send out the certified letters and they would then as long as they don't alter or adjust anything, they would get to keep their beer garden for the duration until they do change something, and then that conditional use permit is void and they'd have to come back. Like I said, most of these beer gardens are the same for everybody all the time. We send the same letters yearly. A certified letter costs $9.64, I believe now, to send. And some of those require 20, 25 letters. We've got 3 beer gardens in the village now and a possible 2 more in the next year. So what we're just asking is next time, if you guys approve and recommend this ordinance to take it then to the village board and approve, then we would just, instead next year, we would be bringing conditional use permits for everyone's beer gardens to you guys next year. That's basically just.
Well, I hate to ask this question, but this, I'm the one who brought up that
Yeah.
it come here, does not require a public hearing? I thought anything in this ordinance required a public hearing at the planning commission before it was recommended.
So I'm going to blame Ian for anything we do right or wrong at this.
I could be wrong, but that's the way it used to be.
Some staff morale right there.
I was here 16 and a half hours yesterday. Ian can take some brunt for me.
It's my fault.
Ian.
So, what is there a change? Is conditional?
Yeah, the conditional use permit fee was just approved in the fee.
There's no change to it. I don't.
There's
think.
no change, but so we're charging him $25 a year. Yeah, what did you say was, yeah.
The one time.
The one-time $250 for them, which would cover our administrative costs to process a conditional use
And
permit.
then annually, as part of the inspections for their licenses, that can be, like, the terms of their conditional use can be inspected.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question still didn't get answered. Does this require a public hearing? Because this is not a public hearing, like we did the other 2 public hearings tonight. So I'm all for this ordinance, for changing this ordinance, but I want to make sure we do it right too, so.
Yes, okay. So we're gonna present these to you guys. I'm assuming that this other one that Corey asked me to put on here also needs a public hearing. I'm gonna present these to you guys tonight, and then we'll hold the public hearing if you guys are okay with moving on towards that next time go around, just because noticing takes time and.
So I can skip B.
Well, we can discuss B, but you don't want to have to.
We can't make a motion or take action.
We can't approve the recommendation to the board without a public hearing.
So let's stay on A then, because we're just gonna ask questions. Have we had any issues, and this is probably a question for Chief or anybody, have we had any issues with any of our beer gardens?
Not from a beer gardens, but right now the beer gardens are at Sugar River Lanes, J&M's and the Dam Bar. And to my knowledge, in the last year and a half that I've been working, we haven't had any issues. They were all approved with no issues, inspection wise and everything, last time they went to license advisory. So I know that Johnny O's has an application in for Monday. But I don't believe his beer garden is ready to be approved because I don't see fencing around it. And then I've had another person come to me considering it. I know a lot of people are looking at.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking because
Yeah, no, I'm have gone off on a stop.
if there were any issues with anything, it would be more concerning that we're gonna do kind of permanent approval.
No, we don't have any issues. And in the 2 years that I've sent out letters to the neighbors, nobody has come back and complained about it either. So I think that.
I did have somebody show up for about a damn bar at their fence.
Yeah, and the fencing was corrected, I
So
believe.
any conditional use permit that you pass, unless you pass it with a sunset date, is in perpetuity for that use. But they should be inspected on regular basis, annually, biannually, whatever it may be. We don't do that, but we should get to doing that at some point. And so if there ever is an issue with it, like if PD ever had an issue with a beer garden at a place, or if there was ever complaints about it, you can compel them to come back here and you can do any number of things, including, rescinding the condition. So it is a one-time approval, but not with the checks and balances.
So you send that letter out just one time then? Is that what you're proposing?
Yeah.
So what if, what if somebody moves in and somebody else moves in? Do you notify them at all of that or?
I don't know. We wouldn't be notifying. I don't usually get an information. We do, when utilities switch, obviously get notification of people moving in and out, but we don't necessarily process that for this time because we have been doing it yearly. So I'm not sure how that would.
You're saying like if there was a new owner to J&M's or something?
No, a new owner, somebody in the neighborhood.
Like if,
It would go out yearly for now that we're not doing it yearly, they wouldn't be notified of the process or whatever was in the letter. I'm not sure if it's the same or not, but.
so I would.
He stays with the property. It's not.
He stays with the property. I will say, there is, I think the only place that there is actually residential near a beer garden would be the bowling alley. And I think it's pretty obvious if you're purchasing near there that there's a bowling alley.
The dam bar, this fence was a resident near.
Yeah, there is one residential near the dam bar. I don't believe there's any residential near, I think when we noticed the J&M, it was all two other businesses around that area. Yeah, they don't, but the apartments don't get because they're rentals. Renters.
But down the road, it could be a problem if the depot starts going for a liquor license.
If the depot decides they want to create a beer, like if somebody buys that, turns that into a restaurant and then wants to put a beer garden around it. I mean, once again, it would be, I'm not saying that if I was looking for a house and I saw there was a beer garden across the street, I would be aware of that before I purchased the property. I'm not suggesting everybody does that. I guess a beer garden is.
Hope you're looking around before you.
Yeah, I usually try and find a place where nobody's near and nobody will bug me because.
I figured there was.
I'm not
park near my house, so that's a little different.
I'm not saying it's a concern. It is a valid thing that we would be. I mean, yeah.
It's a bit of an assumption. A lot of times we deal with parks. Just kidding.
Okay.
Okay, so we want to go on to B.
Yep. Well, I guess I just need at least a direction that you guys are okay with having the public hearing. Okay.
I think the ordinance is fine. It's just, you gotta go through the process.
I don't hear a lot of opposition.
Okay.
So.
What we're doing is moving baby onus from liquor license advisory to you guys. You guys like power.
It's joking.
It's
It's not because we can.
You're on both committees. You have the power either way. All right, sorry. This ordinance, the conditional use permit ordinance, I think Corey mentioned it a little bit in his notes too, but at the moment with a conditional use permit, so if someone gets a conditional use permit because they're going to build on the property and stuff, they have 24 months before they have to make those changes before the permit expires. Corey's just asking that instead of 2 years for them, so they get a conditional use permit and then they wait till month 24 and it just sits there with nothing on it. He's asking it for 12 months, 1 year before they have to make those permanent changes before the conditional use permit expires. And
They need to reapply.
and they need to reapply. We did have, I think, an issue with at least one person who has been holding on and never pulled their building permits. And we just like to make those timelines a little shorter, so that things don't fall through the cracks, as we know that, things change and we're currently, things come up. We don't want to lose sight of anything that's happening as best as we possibly can. So once again, if you guys are okay with continuing with this and everybody's cool, I will note it for public hearing. Okay.
Goes on your notices.
This paper loves me.
I will entertain a motion.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Gary, seconded by Mike. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned at 8:44 PM.